Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won. I hope my team they won. Yeah, man. I hope my team they won. I hope my team they won. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Cavil and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention as he gon' teach us.
This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Charles Bishop, I thank you. I thank you.
I'm here.
Yes. You noticed that, right? Thank you. Can I say that now?
Yes, indeed.
Guess what?
We got the third one. He's en route.
On the sign.
On assignment.
He will be here Friday.
Yes, indeed.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Let's get to do what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to episode 469 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU diaspora, all things HBCU sports. For institutions large and small, from the NAIA to the NCAA, we share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics, to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. Simply put, and simply short, we call it HBCU sports pedagogy. Yes, this is a special episode. We're live in Atlanta from the Omni, the host hotel for where the teams stay. That would be the Howard Bison out of the MEAC, Florida A&M and Rattlers out of the SWAC, for all these folks that are confused that the FAMU is still in the MEAC.
Right.
I think that transitioned 3 years ago.
There you go. That's already happened. Well, we got
so
a
we
MEAC
are in the
versus SWAC
sports bar.
representative.
We spent many a late evenings in this sports bar over the last couple of years, and that's why essentially we made the move from the other host hotels to Omni, where all the key stakeholders are. The SWAC has their meetings here. MEAC has their meetings here. You run into the dignitaries from ESPN, dignitaries in terms of directly related to the Cricket Celebration Bowl. John Grant, we've seen Charles. We'll should have him on the show to give us a little time before he has to head into some of his meetings to give a special update. Looks like we reached out. The coaches are in practice, but they promised on their way back they'll try to get over here before we end the show. So we'll see if we can get time with the coaches. With that being said, let me ask you before we go any further. Today's episode of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab is sponsored by THD Agency, LLC. THD Agency is a company that provides sporting and educational consulting analytics. With that being said, Charles, how are you doing?
Doing well, Doc. Doing well. You know, we came in yesterday. We had an opportunity to sit down, like you mentioned, with a few of those dignitaries last night, as they are. More will be filling in during the course of the week. But like you said, SWAC has their meetings here this week. MEAC has their meetings as well. And you a lot of times you find out a little bit of scuttlebutt that's going on with regards to both conferences. So it's always good to be in and around when decisions are being made and things of that nature. So it's good to sort of, as a program, be sort of in the mix with everything that is going on with regards to Celebration Bowl.
With that being said, great points made. Let's get into it. We had a bowl game.
Yes.
Division II bowl game, beach bowl game, Florida Beach Bowl game, as they call it, which was between SIAC, Fort Valley State, they got the invitation, versus the CIAA's Johnson C. Smith. Ultimately, Fort Valley represented the SIAC well and got the job done as the Wildcats won 23-10 over the Golden Bulls. It was a thriving rainstorm. You get that in Florida at times, even during this time.
Even during this time of year, exactly.
And it was held there. MVP was Kelvin Durham in that matchup that was held Wednesday night, the first iteration of the Florida Beach Bowl. What were your thoughts in terms of that contest? I know as we were moving around, you had a chance to kind of be in and out, check out a spot to play a couple of plays here and do. We were actually having a chance to eat dinner with Vice President of intercollegiate athletics, if you would, Dr. Kevin Granger.
Yeah, a lot going on right now with Texas Southern.
Yeah. I'm glad you pointed that out.
Yeah.
We had the FAR, Faculty Athletic Representative Dr. Howard Henderson, who was with us, and so we got to join them. So that was a privilege to get some insight in terms of how they're going on. It's always good to break bread with those that are involved in leading HBCU programs. Sure. Whether it's SWAC, MEAC, SIEC, or the CIAA.
Yes. Yeah. Kevin Durham, he continued to stand out play with regards to what he's done at Fort Valley State. No different last night, 10 of 14, 167 yards, a couple of touchdowns. And it's historic to win that inaugural Beach Bowl, if you will, matchup between the SIAC and the CIAA. But more than anything, it's an opportunity to be one of those last teams standing, much like the Celebration Bowl. So all the attention sort of goes to you. And I think Coach Sean Gibbs, he touched on that in the post-game presser in terms of being, those last teams standing there hoping to turn that Beach Bowl into something similar, very much like the Celebration Bowl.
Certainly. Well, with that being said, we'll take our first break. But before we do that, according to HBCU Plus, the Florida Beach Bowl had 723,465 viewers. So a lot of folks are getting a chuckle out of that, but that's what was reported. So we'll put it out there until further notification.
If there's a person from HBCU Plus we can ask, we'll go about the process.
Man, y'all not right. With that, that means center stage is Cricket Celebration Bowl, which will be up on Saturday. Obviously, you have the National Battle of the Band in terms of that championship showcase on Friday. With that being said, let's take our first break. We'll come back on the other side, and we'll have a great surprise for you.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
As technology continues to bring changes to the world of education, it's time we also reimagine teacher professional development. Gone are the days of one-size-fits-all learning that can only be accessed at a specific time and place. The Stride PD Center is an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that allow educators to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. The best professional development plans are those that include a level of flexibility and choice for educators. Whether you're a teacher, school, or district, visit us today to take charge of your learning.
The Cavil Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cavil.
press the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna love, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention as he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. As I said, Mike Washington's on assignment. We'll put that out there one more time to tease him. But we told you we have somebody special. We have Dr. Charles McClelland. He is the commissioner of the Southwestern Athletic Conference, if you don't know by now. I don't know what cave you've been stuck in. But with that being said, we'll just get right to it. Charles, how you doing today?
Doing very well. Always excited to be a part of your show.
I appreciate it. Let's get into some questions. Just give us a general rundown in terms of what is your week like leading into the Celebration Bowl as you prepare to do your side, and what does that entail?
A lot of it has to do with just organizational type of themes. Well, we started out Monday with our office Christmas party because theoretically the office will be shut down after we get here. There are a lot of things that we had to put in place for our Hall of Fame. As you know, we decided to move our Hall of Fame gala here, so it's that Friday night. It's a massive deal. We've been sold out, and it's not one of those fake sold outs. We've been sold out just about every year, between 300 and 350, depending on how many people we induct into the Hall of Fame. So to try to get all of the scripts together, we moved from allowing the Hall of Fame inductees to speak to getting a professional third party to come in to film them in their environment and put together a whole quality program. So we pretty much finalized all of that on Tuesday. We will start the festivities here on Wednesday. We had the introduction for the teams. We will have here later on today our faculty athletic representatives meeting today. There are several functions today with the Celebration Bowl. Tomorrow we'll have our athletic directors and senior women's administrator meeting on tomorrow. And then we'll have the gala tomorrow. Then we'll have the football game on Saturday, and then I have some basketball committee stuff. CBS is actually here. They have an event at State Farm Arena. So I have to turn my hat from commissioner to basketball committee a little after the Celebration Bowl on tomorrow.
Very busy weekend. Charles, did you want to get in here? Before you get in and ask a question, I got to tease a little bit. I've been part of these, office Christmas parties, and even from Texas Southern University Christmas parties. And I've been invited to one from Charles when he was the vice president in collegiate athletics at Texas Southern University. Mm-hmm. So I'm interested. What is a SWAC Christmas party like?
It's small. We only have 10 people on staff, 11 with me. So we just went to one of the local restaurants, did gift exchanges, and just try to say thank you. Athletics is exciting, but it takes a lot of energy, effort. It takes a lot of time away, from your families, and just to say thank you for hard work, dedication. So it's nothing elaborate.
That's good. We did want to humanize you, because at times, some people act like y'all are robots, not human, and y'all can't smile, that y'all just work. So it's good to hear in all seriousness that y'all ever have a little bit of fun and celebrate each other seriously for the hard work that you do to make things go. That being said, Charles, go ahead.
Yeah, I actually want to follow up on that, especially in regards to the hard work that you do and when you meet with the faculty athletic representatives. What are some of the things, kind of take fans into what that sort of process looks like?
Well, we have various committees within the Southwestern Athletic Conference. I think one of the biggest misnomers that are out there is that the commissioner has unilateral authority to make decisions.
Sure.
So everything has to go through committee. So if you're talking about an academic initiative, it starts with the faculty athletic representative. Then it flows through the athletic directors, and then it goes to the president. So, we do have the ability to do certain things, but when it comes to constitutional things, it has to go through the process. So any rule change, any academic change, any compliance change, any financial change, any change, period, has to go through the membership. What the conference office is instructed to do per our Constitution and bylaws is oversee the membership, and the membership makes the decision. So our faculty athletic directors meeting is going to entail, we have some NCAA members that are going to be here. I'll make that now. I don't think it's a secret announcement, but the NCAA president, Charlie Baker, is coming to the game. He will interact with the Celebration Bowl, with the two commissioners. He was set to come to the Bayou Classic. He had a scheduling conflict at the last minute. So again, what we have attempted to do, especially in the Southwestern Athletic Conference, is to engage ourselves in the NCAA structure. We have a record number of individuals that are on NCAA committees, and they're on major committees. I think the last major one was, President Ross, which is now our chair, is on the Women's and Athletics Committee. So he now has a voice on the entire direction of women's athletics in NCAA. We have an individual, Dr. Lovelay from Alabama State, on the CAP committee. The CAP committee is a committee on academic performance. It's kind of near and dear to me because that was the one that kept hitting me upside the head when I was at Texas Southern with postseason bans and things of that nature. So what we've tried to do is strategically put our people on committees to help influence the direction, and it has been significantly important for us to do so, and it has been working well for us. So this is just the preemption of getting all of those strategic goals aligned. This meeting is what we're going to be talking about today, and there'll be some NCAA representatives there. But just setting the tone from an academic standpoint through, the FARs, the faculty, athletic representatives is the point of the meeting.
Sure thing. Well, and there's always 1,001 things with regards to SWAC news.
Here we go, y'all. Get ready to hit me now.
Right, exactly. But one that is sort of sparking fan engagement now is there was a tweet by an assistant coach within the SWAC this past week in regards to their recruiting pitch in terms of looking at encouraging athletes to look at HBCUs so that they can get an opportunity to go from an HBCU to a Power 5 conference. And I guess just from your position, what were your thoughts in regards to the framework of that sort of recruiting pitch in your conference?
Well, I do think coaches have the right to be able to pitch and have their own philosophies on how they want to run their programs. From a conference perspective, we think that we are one of the elite conferences in the nation. We've kind of modeled ourselves around that FBS model. So we don't participate in the FCS playoffs. We have a bowl game. You can get a national championship out of this thing. If you want to be seen, we think being a big fish in a small pond is a way to be seen. Not necessarily to be seen to go to the Power 5. What I have noticed, I know I'm with the data person over here, so I don't have my data points in front of me. But there have been very few HBCU student athletes that have transitioned and gone to Power 5 and actually got the star power that they thought that they were going to get. We quite often see them transferring back to the HBCU model. So I'm not quite sure that is the model that I would be pitching. There are a couple of points that I would say is that the graduation rate at the HBCUs for African American football players is twice of that at the HBCU that it is at the Power 5. So if you don't get that opportunity to go pro, you might miss your opportunity to gain the education that for even in the professional level, 60% of those professional student athletes will not make as much money as you and I will as a regular day professional. So that college degree is extremely important. But we have 22 NFL Hall of Famers within the Southwestern Athletic Conference. And I realize that we haven't had any recent, when I say recent Hall of Famers, anybody that has played in the 2000s But we have several HBCUs, and I'm not just talking about in the Southwestern Athletic Conference, that have $80 million, $100 million contracts. So I think that you can come here, excel. I think the Celebration Bowl, just think, there's been someone drafted every year because they've had a good game in the Celebration Bowl. I would much rather play in the Celebration Bowl than go to another bowl and be a backup. So I think each and every person has their own philosophy. I just think, coming here is unique, is special. You can achieve the same. And quite honestly, your goal for playing collegiate athletics should be to obtain a degree. Now, I'm not knocking going pro, but if you go pro, you should go pro with your degree. And I think we've proven that we can do both. So I don't know if I answered your question, but that's my answer.
Certainly from that framework, I think in a lot of ways you laid out the benefits and challenges of operating at the FCS level with the FBS bowl model, which is fascinating in that conversation.
Well, you didn't ask this question. Maybe that was the direction that you're going. But with these super conferences, what you're going to start to see, in my opinion, this is not fact. This is Charles McClelland's opinion. Yeah. You're going to start to see the dissolution of talent at the Group of Five level. And I think that if we continue to do what we are doing, I think we will be uniquely positioned to be able to capitalize on that windfall, right? So would you rather, if, you got 18 super teams in the SEC and 20 in the Big Ten and 20 in the ACC, and, if Pac-12, now Pac-2 doesn't expand, you have those four. You get 12 into the BCS playoffs. What about the other 310? Right? There will definitely be a trickle-down effect. So would you rather go to XX Bowl where you have 25,000 people there, or would you rather come to the Celebration Bowl? Would you rather play on national TV every week in the SWAC? Would you rather be in front of, I think we're averaging something like 25,000 fans, and that takes into consideration that there are a couple of games that might be 2. I mean, we had 5 games that had 40,000 plus. We had 3 games that had over 60,000. We have crowds. We have now the television. We have the resources. We have the platforms. And I just think that with these super conferences, there's going to be a dissolution of excitement at that other level. And I think
great point.
There's not going to be as big of a gap between where SWAC is and where some of the other Group of 5 leagues are. And we've been catching them, quite frankly. When you look at basketball, I know this is not a basketball situation.
I was going to say that this trends in basketball, men's and women, and in baseball in terms of that, in softball.
So we've been seeing it. So we're in a different era. The Power 5, Group of 5, they're going to have a decision to make. And with the court decisions, as you know, there's a stay now on transfer. It's going to be really, really important for the NCAA to say, okay, if we want to exist in the current state, we're going to have to do a lot of things differently. Yeah. They've already started to do that.
Doubt.
I know you saw the letter coming out from President Charlie Baker and saying that we're going to start looking at, theoretically, I don't want to use that terminology because I don't.
Yeah, you want to get struck on the record. Pause.
Right. But compensation to student athletes is going to look a lot different than what it has in the past. And I really do think now is the time that significant change will occur. We want to be on the front end of the change. We want to have people in the room, and quite frankly, we do. But I like where we are positioned. And I say this all the time. We've chosen to be FCS, right? If we wanted, and I'm not necessarily saying currently, but, our founders did this based upon, a vision. And I think that we are where we are supposed to be at this point in time. Now, that's not to say that things won't change in, the future.
Great
but
point.
We want to be the best that we can be. And I think that you start to see, a lot. You didn't ask this question, but since you have me here, I'm gonna take the opportunity to shift in my own regard. I was talking to one of our basketball coaches, and they were upset about the NIT going to dropping automatic qualifiers, which directly meant the Southwestern Athletic Conference was going to be one conference that lost their bid. When they ran their numbers, they basically saw that there are going to be 5 conferences that was going to be desperately impacted. And as you can imagine, there's going to be, the SWAC, the MEAC, and some of those other conferences. And they were saying, to me, one of the coaches was, this isn't fair, right? Well, there are a couple of points to that. The NIT is not an NCAA-run event. The NIT is run by the NCAA, but it's not an NCAA-run event. That's important. He was like, Charles, what does that mean? It's a separate event. It's not a part of March Madness. It's not a part of what the NCAA is obligated under the Constitution. Yeah. They have a different board. It is a for-profit entity that the NCAA ultimately bought through a lawsuit that they run. So they have a separate board. Okay. So they can do what they want to do, and they did. Now, we might not like it, but they did.
But it's important to know the framework of that.
Right. So the coach to me was, it's not fair. And I was like, well, coach, it might not be, but if we really want to call, as we used to say back in Holly Hall at Prairie View A&M University, if we want to call a spade, then we need to stop playing NAIAs and Christian League schools. We need to stop playing 13-game guarantees. Now, I sound like a hypocrite because we played 13-game guarantees when I was there. But quite frankly, the formula is not going to allow us to get into the NIT doing what we're doing. Yeah. The formula is not going to allow us to get a second team in. Yes, we can say it's not fair, but we have the opportunity to change the narrative, and that's stop doing some of the things that we're doing. And I think you're seeing more of our institutions are getting away from being on the road for 13 games. And I realize the money is there. That is the reason why we're working so hard now to generate the revenue to distribute to the schools so they don't have to do that. So we have some work to do. They have some work to do. But fairness in this NCAA environment is not what's going to rule the day anymore, right?
Right. I want to get you out of here because I know you got the meeting, so we had this last question, and I'm glad you went there in terms of the basketball because we were going to ask that question. So you're right into it. But the last question I have for you is, speaking of that revenue, there was an announcement that came out. SWAC announced a student-athlete enhancement initiative. So I wanted to make sure that we dove into that. And the backdrop of that was, I noticed you said the FARs were here, the ADs were here. So at one time, the presidents meet, or do they meet prior to this? And was that a part of the approval that we read in this message?
Yes, that's a good question because technically we've done that backwards, right? I explained that it goes from the FARs to the ADs to the presidents. You were like, well, didn't the presidents meet last week? They actually did. Okay. So theoretically, the way we've kind of restructured our meetings a little bit, and because of Zoom, we meet with the athletic directors frequently. Right? Okay. So we have at least 2 Zoom meetings. So all of the issues that needed to be voted upon, that needed to go to the president, we had those meetings previously. So what we've tried to do with this meeting here is more of strategic and, building blocks of what we're going to do. So any constitutional change that will be recommended will theoretically be recommended for our spring meeting where we all meet in Florida. So any issue that needed to go to the president went to the president. But what we found was we spent so much time on, talking about scheduling and passing this rule because this group wants this and that group wants that. We didn't really have a lot of time to talk about strategy. We didn't really have a lot of time to talk about where do we go from here. Okay. So the NCAA is coming in to talk to us. We have a couple of topics, on the agenda. Again, probably talking too much. This probably will span some conversation, but do we stay divisional or do we take the top 2 teams? That's something that's going to be on the agenda today. We need tomorrow. Right. So
at least it's a discussion.
Right. So we need to talk about it, and we need to structure the meeting to where we can talk about those subject matter and not just be constricted by time. So that is the reason why the AD's meeting is on Friday. We've already done the administrative side. We need more strategy to figure out how the league can continue to grow and improve.
Well, we'll let you out of there on that one. Good information. So we did get a little tease that there are planning stuff out there that needs to be discussed, which is a lot of things that people ask and think about. With that being said, with the expansion is good. Spring meetings, you get to go to the beach in Florida.
Yes. Some do, I don't. Some do.
Too much work in there.
Right.
With that being said, we want to thank you for your time, Dr. Charles McClelland, the Southwestern Athletic Conference Commissioner, and obviously currently serving as the Basketball Division I Committee Chair as that starts coming in and you talk about that workload. So you're getting it done. We appreciate it. Excited to have you and appreciate taking some time out to answer some of our questions.
All right. Thanks for having me.
We'll go to our break. We'll come back on the other side and get back into some of the talk of this Cricket Celebration Bowl and see what else we have lined up to see what's going.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
You see, Head & Shoulders has scalp shield technology, protects against flakes even between washes. It's never not working.
Kind of like us. We're never not working. Number 15?
That's my rub.
Ooh, nice.
Never not working.
Never, ever, never, ever not working.
Welcome everybody to Juneau, Alaska.
I don't like this one.
Me neither.
Let's get out of here.
Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders scalp shield technology.
T. Madden & Associates is a sophisticated and experienced law firm located in your neighborhood. We're turning injury to cash.
T. Madden and Associates obtained almost $2 million for my injury. They turned my injury to cash.
Now, we can't guarantee how much your injury is worth, but we've recovered millions for our clients.
Call T. Madden & Associates at 833-PAID-123. That's 833-PAID-123.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna loud, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention as he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Ville inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Well, before we get into this, I got to get your opinion on this now, Charles. you ask for clarity.
It's a lot of meat to chew on.
Yeah, and we've heard this out there. I've had somebody personally ask me that question, and it's fascinating. It's good to hear from my perspective that the league, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, among other leagues, continues to evaluate their process.
Yeah.
In terms of what makes more sense as they move forward.
Yeah.
And one of the nuggets that will be discussed, among other things, obviously, is, and I wanted to ask this one, expansion, where we at with that.
That was tingling in my head. Yeah, like, we ran out of time.
He saw me coming with that. He's like, I gotta go. But let's get back to this.
Yeah.
Before we have our next guest, as we get him ready, and things of that nature, and get into our next break. This is amazing how we set this up, and we're like, man, how you gonna deal with 2 hours? I said, no, we got plenty to talk about. I always tell you that it happens magically.
Mm-hmm.
But the question is for you and the other ones out there listening, and I've had somebody personally ask me that, should they move to what we see other Power 5 conferences moving, talking about using that Power 5 bowl framework. It's funny how we see that SWAC certainly is in that model.
Sure.
With that model, they're saying, should we continue with the division, the best team in the division play, or should we go to the top 2 teams? Now, check this out before you answer that. Last year, with the first year of the expansion 2 years ago, that would have meant you would have had a rematch between FAMU and Jackson State.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of people leather up.
Yeah.
Last year, you would have had a rematch between FAMU and Jackson State.
Sure.
Both of those games would have been in Jackson.
Mm.
This year, oddly enough, people pushed it more. People may not realize, regardless of the system that we currently have or this new format, guess who would have played in the championship game this year?
FAMU and
Prairie View.
Okay.
Interesting. Prairie View and Alcorn still had the best record.
Yeah.
They were 6-2.
Yeah.
People don't realize because of the last two games,
exactly.
Jackson losing to Alcorn, they fell to 5-3.
Yeah.
Alabama State fell to 5-3.
Mm-hmm.
And Prairie View moved up to 6-2. You still would have had the head-to-head tiebreaker.
Still would have had the two best teams.
Would have been between Alcorn and Prairie View. Prairie View still had the tiebreaker.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, regardless if you did division or not, this year it still would have been a FAMU hosting against Prairie View.
You know, that's very interesting. One of the things you taught me very early within the master's program are things are cyclical. And for the SWAC to be looking at a potential change in regards to the structure of how teams get to the SWAC championship, that's very fascinating when you stop and think about it. And then I think this is a very interesting nugget in terms of that fan engagement piece, you know, that lathers up everybody, because sometimes we joke, you know, by some teams by October, it's time to start thinking about, you know, basketball season. But, you know, this sort of creates this playoff dynamic all the way to the end. So
yeah, because it's going to be interesting because it takes away the fact that you can get excited about winning the division championship.
Mm-hmm.
But it keeps teams in play in regards to what it means overall. So it'll be interesting to see what that looks like when we do that. Let's get into our next break as we're up on, and we'll get our next guest in here. But it's going to be fascinating. I do want to get this on the table. Roy asked the question that I think is important, which will be interesting. I'm sure there'll be dialogue. Although you might change the winner concept in terms of top two teams, do you still keep the divisional scheduling part of the model, which maintains the ability to reduce travel? So that's a good point that our producer put out that I want people to know. With that, let's get in our next break. We'll come back on, and we'll get another great guest coming to you to talk a little bit more about the Cricket Celebration Bowl. We are live in Atlanta from the Omni, which is the host hotel where both football teams are staying and all the dignitaries. So you see them floating around. We were out here all evening. It was magic in the air. ESPN officials, NCAA officials, you heard from Charles. They're all here already. And you tap it off starting on Friday with a championship with the Band of the Year, both at the Division II level, NAIA, and the Division I level, mid-major and major division, as you know we call it here.
Yeah.
That goes down, and then you have a championship. Will rise, as they like to say in these parts, on Saturday. Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Boy, if you can't feel the excitement, that's on you. I don't know where you live, but we get here early because it goes down. Make sure you're here, getting in your stadium, getting your tickets, because they're gone and going fast. But you better get in there and see what you want to get, especially if you want your prime seats.
Sure.
Those things go fast.
Yeah.
You know me, I'm special.
Sweets go early.
I like sweets.
Sweets go early.
That's a whole different discussion.
There you go.
We'll go to our break and come back on the other side.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Lab. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and parenting education coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentjax.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember they can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft. Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody. Sorry. Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more, but it's so absorbent, you can use less, so it's always worth it. Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
Press the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a law left and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention as he gon' teach a lesson.
Stocktonville's inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Charles, man, we just had one dynamic interview, and we found a way to get to another dynamic interview. Guess who we got with us today?
The man himself.
Yes, that he is.
Yeah.
Looking like he's got to go fly a jet.
I am flying a jet. What do you think the Cricket Celebration Bowl is?
Cricket Celebration Bowl Executive Director John Grant. You all should know him by now. If you're not, you're still in that hole. So we're going to have a whole different conversation with you. But let me ask you, I know you're running, getting things done. So let me ask the first appropriate question. How you doing?
We're awesome, man. The energy in Atlanta right now, I heard you guys talking earlier, is fantastic. So, you know, we're riding that wave. And as I was out front in the hotel earlier, and the lines are forming at check-in, so people are coming in.
Mm-hmm. I want to say thank you personally for making this happen. Obviously, among all the other things you do, we had the last minute. We had the idea, let's do a live show here. And you're like, yes, let's do a live show here. In fact, we're going to do it right here in Omni. We're going to find a way, and we do it in the sports bar. And we're surrounded with all these televisions, and they're lit up with HBCU Elite, which is a mindset when you talk about, and that's exactly the way that you do this game. It is on an elite level. I had the experiences and opportunity as a media person to cover some of these large bowl games, particularly the Peach Bowl, Orange Bowl over the years, and right there in Dallas with the Cotton Bowl. And I've been in there a media perspective, and this is on every level of that, if not superior in a lot of different ways when you talk about adding that cultural dynamic. So that framework, that mindset you talk about, HBCU Elite, it means something.
Yeah.
Speak a little more about that.
Well, you know, everything starts with, you know, what you can imagine. You know, if you can imagine it, you can make it so. Imagination is really more powerful than knowledge. So what we want people to understand is that, you know, the culture around our historically black colleges and universities and what they do and the product that they produce is always at an elite level. And that if we think being elite, then we can produce at that level as well. And that's what we want people who are engaged with us using the Cricket Celebration Bowl as a catalyst to reverberate that mindset across the entire diaspora.
You know, we talk about players that get excited. And they talk about it's game time. You even have frameworks out there. Game time? They started trying to get you all lathered up and they're ready to play. And this year we have a Friday where it gets game time in terms of the bands getting elite as they get ready to go. I want to ask you personally and your team, what gets you excited as you lead up to this, to allow you to work through this process? I've seen you literally sweat in terms of how fast you're moving to get all these directions. We see the bus pull in, making sure that they have the fanfare necessary when they get off their bus, organizing the practices when they need to be here, making sure that all the media folks are handled as you pass it off with folks. You got your team that makes sure the field and all these things are done correctly in such a way that's elite. You're organizing with ESPN, the production side of it. You're organized with the executive to make sure those that want to come in and support you or be a part of this and learn themselves are all on board. What gets you excited and gets you going on game day, and really for you, it's game week?
Well, once you went through that list, I never really thought about it.
Like, I'm doing a lot.
Whoa. Because you don't think about it when you're doing it. But when someone starts to reciting it in a list, I'm listening to you and I'm like, okay.
I just set him up. There you go. Right. Say, man, I need to ask.
Right. Exactly.
I need to raise.
Talk to my agent here.
Well, the devil is always in the details. And when you attend to the details and that list of things that you mentioned, we see those as the details of what is required for us to make sure we're addressing, to do the three things that we focus on in terms of when we're putting, these events together. And that is one, that we want to assure that we're providing a world-class, second to none experience for the student athletes. I mean, they earn the right to be here, whether it's on the football field or even now with the band of the year. Those bands and those, I'll call them musician athletes. That's what I use the term. They earned the right to be here, and they deserve the absolute best stage that can be provided for them. And we're committed to do that. Number two, that we provide a world-class, second to none experience for the fans. The fan who says, hey, I'm going to invest my time. I'm going to spend my money. I'm going to, bring my family, or, hey, I'm going to, this is an adult weekend, but they make the investment to come. They too deserve a world-class, second to none type of experience. And we're committed to creating that. And finally, the fan who tunes in, who decides I'm going to watch this, whether they're watching it at home, they're watching it in the sports bar, they're consuming it on a mobile device, that they too deserve that same second to none world-class experience in how we present it, how the stage is built, what it looks like, what it feels like, what the quality is on the field, what's the energy from the fan base. All of that comes together to assure that we are operating at an HBCU elite level.
Perfect. Charles?
Yeah, let me follow up on your statement. Sometimes imagination is more powerful than knowledge. And I wanted to ask, it seemed as though year in, year out, you guys are on the cutting edge of doing something innovative. How difficult is the process of going through finding something new? You've added Disney on the yard, the battle of the band of the year competition, but just the thought process of going through something new that's innovative for the Celebration Bowl.
Well, the most difficult part of when you're introducing something new is try to bring people along, because more often than not, people don't know what they need until they see it, or until they get it, or they don't know how good something is until they experience it. Our human nature wants to keep us in a comfort zone of what we are familiar with.
Oh, yeah.
And our challenge to our team is always to get comfortable being uncomfortable. To get comfortable being uncomfortable. So if you can, God gives you everything you need to deliver. You have to have then the courage and the fortitude to, step forth in faith, and the commitment to move forward, even when you don't know what the outcome is going to be. And so what you see, Charles, from what we're doing is, using, the power of our imagination, because if we can see it, and we do, then we know that we can make it happen. How? You don't necessarily know, but you know that it can. And so as a result, this year we saw the band of the year. We saw a national championship for bands back in 2016. And believed that we could make that happen. But we also recognized it was a process, because we had to bring people along. We had to bring band directors along. They had never seen that before. So you start by having a lot of conversations. We had a lot of phone calls with them. We also then we're going to start with a ranking process. And that ranking that we were doing initially with the undefeated, right, and then with Anscape, was to orient them to say, hey, there's nothing wrong with professional adjudication. There's nothing wrong with being able to, because of, being able to determine, what is the quality I'm really producing. Because in that, with the adjudication process, we also give them feedback. The committee does. The committee of professionals give every band director after they're ranked a feedback on, hey, here's how you can improve in these specific areas. As a result, what we're seeing is, our HBCU marching bands are getting better. That's not coming from me. That's coming from the people who are, Dr. Julian White and Professor Dow Taylor, who are the co-chairs, who have over 100 years experience. Let me repeat that. They themselves, between the two of them, have 100 years of marching band experience. So I'm not an expert in that. What I do know is that we can see this. I know to go get the experts and let them do that. So this is an example of what we can do. And this year will be the first one. Will it be absolutely perfect? Not at all. But it's going to be the start. The first Celebration Bowl wasn't perfect. Not at all. But we had 109 days to get it up. And we were able to do that because we believe. And so, I'll use something as simple as when the idea you just mentioned. Hey man, we want to do a live show from Atlanta. Okay. If you can see that, we'll make it happen. Here we are. Top Draft Sports Bar.
People understood how much you had to go back amongst everything else you were doing to make that happen. It was not simply just walking here and open up a key. No. There were key folks that you had to talk to. Key folks to some degree you might have to lean on. Right. To even say, no, I need this to happen. This is important to me and to them, and so it's going to happen. What I think is beautiful, what you talked about, is that I'm not sure a lot of people really recognize is the incubation period of the innovation.
Correct. Yeah.
Right? We have a lot of great ideas out here. One is bringing them to fruition, which is a whole nother discussion. But people understanding the incubation period. You talk about going back 2016, 2017, which was now Anscape, but at that time was undefeated as they started to roll this out in the process of how they were reviewing and ranking bands, which was the emphasis based on ultimate goal of being able to bring this to forefront and actually live with the bands being here for a national champion. And so that is important in regards to as people do their own work and understand that our HBCUs and the elite process. Because I think sometimes we get in a society with this microwave mentality that everything has to be instant and fast. And the real world doesn't necessarily work.
Sometimes things have to cook for a while. Yeah.
And good chefs will tell you about that. Sometimes the ingredients obviously are important, but the time to put in the mixture and get it right is just as important if you want the meal to come out.
Sure.
With that chef kiss. Talk a little bit more about your experience and where that came from. Maybe previous to even, obviously the Cricket Celebration Bowl, your experience with ESPN, even before maybe to some degree with the Atlanta 100. Where did that incubation and innovation thought process germinate and become perfection for you to get to this point?
I have to go back, all the way back to, my upbringing. I had great parents. My father grew up on a farm. And so, if you're a farmer, that's what you do. You got to plant, you got to till the soil first. Then you plant the seed. And then the seed has to germinate, and then you have to be patient to let the crop grow. You don't, like you said, it's not a microwave scenario. If you and we raised a lot of food. We raised our own vegetables. We had huge gardens because my father also provided, all the vegetables for the school system. So not only did we farm that way, but so we were constantly in the process of working. And one thing he always told my brother and I and my siblings, that one thing you'll never do is be afraid of work. And we weren't. I mean, because a lot of times with my friends, and I'm in high school on a Friday afternoon, and they were, hey man, we're going to go to this place or that place. My father would look at me and say, hey, you don't have anything to do tonight, do you? And we would be out in the field all night. Whether it's harvesting the cotton, soybeans, whatever the case may be. And so I understood the process of what it takes, learned from them. And then just, with my mom and my grandmother helped raise us also. it was just a value that was instilled, that hard work, dedication, patience, but belief. Because my mother, rest her soul, would always say to me, son, you can do anything you want to if you put your mind to it. And whenever I go to her with a question, she would say, son, you can do anything you want to if you put your mind to it. And that I would ask her at times, yeah, but I need your opinion. She said, I'm not going to tell you anything else. And the most valuable lesson for her as a human being, and fortunate enough that she was my mother, was that one thing that she taught me, that you can do anything you want if you put your mind to it. Imagination. Use it. Trust it. Believe in it. And so what we are hoping that, look, what we're doing now, this is this is just the tip of the iceberg of what the Cricket Celebration Bowl is going to be, what the band of the year is going to be, whatever we have coming next. I don't know exactly what it is, but I know something is coming. I absolutely believe that.
Yeah.
But it's going to be as far as this whole, process of being HBCU elite. And really, that's what you guys are doing. You're a part of that dynamic. You and all of your counterparts. Think about this. You and I had a conversation, I don't know, a few years ago about, we should have a media row. You go to the Super Bowl and what they have, you can go through a media gauntlet. What do we have now?
Yeah. Car wash.
Media row.
Media row. Mm-hmm.
You add on to that. You said, hey, we should probably think about broadcasting coming in early. What are we doing?
Broadcasting early.
Yeah. We're broadcasting early.
Yeah.
And you guys are here as in your broadcasting, you're the only one doing this.
Right.
At this point. So you are HBCU elite in my mind. The idea that it just came forward, you put it out there. Oh, okay. Let's do it.
Sure.
And that's the great thing is that while things can be duplicated, to some degree even maybe done better. I'll put that out there. But they can't take away the who was
first. Right. Sure.
That's correct.
Sure. Sure.
I want to take you back. 2 years ago, you got a chance to work with Coach Buddy on probably a different level. I mean, obviously we knew Coach Buddy. We studied, understood the celebration. Credits to Joshua Simmons and Erica with HBCU Nightly. They had an interview with him. And the conversation came up, many different things.
Yes,
you don't interview Buddy Pugh. He talks to you about what he's talking about. You just happen to have a microphone. You're good at what you do and you run with it. And he put this on the table where the discussion comes back. And he, said about A&T and Hampton leaving. He really put out his true feelings about it. And I asked this from this perspective, because I've talked to you about some of that off the record. But how did you come to a decision? Because you've been very clear that the MEAC SWAC challenge is just that. It's the champion of the SWAC versus the champion of the MEAC, and it works and it's getting done. But as you expand it, now you bring the band championship, it's more inclusive. When I say more inclusive, it's not just the Division I, Division II also includes NIA. It also includes all of the HBCUs, whether they're independent or within these quote-unquote HBCU conferences. So how did you make that designation in that incubation chamber, and why is it important to expand further than the original concept of the Cricket Celebration Bowl, which is champion versus champion?
Because you can't leave any family member out. You have to start with something. And my hat's off to Commissioner Dennis Thomas years ago, and Commissioner Vowles with the SWAC, who sat with ESPN about starting the MEAC SWAC challenge.
To both of the commissioners.
Yeah, very much.
He's up there doing some AD work. Good stuff.
Yeah. So the credit goes to them, in terms of bringing ESPN and then convincing ESPN that it was the right thing to do. And then there was this new fledgling network that ESPN was launching called ESPNU. And so things sort of came together at the right time because, the SWAC and the MEAC were the first conferences to be on ESPNU. It opened with HBCUs. And so as you evolve over time, you want to build something that helps where you can be inclusive. And people have asked me, and they started asking me after the first Celebration Bowl, hey, maybe we can have a double header and all that. You got to be patient with what you do. And it couldn't necessarily be in football at the time, but we also always from the beginning saw with a national championship an inclusive process that include one of the most high passion points for people, and that's marching bands. And it didn't exist. There was nothing out there, like that. So the opportunity to create the band of the year and bring in to this weekend another set of fans in an inclusive way expands the whole idea about the ultimate HBCU homecoming. It expands the idea about this being the Super Bowl. It expands the idea about championship weekend. And that's really what we're looking to do. And that it also expands the concept about being HBCU elite.
Okay. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Charles, did you have any final questions?
Yeah, probably one last question, and especially when you take a look at it, 30,000-foot view, and like we talked about, you staying innovative. But are there things that you look at across the college football landscape, especially in regards to bowl games, that you look at and say, I like that. I might want to, implement that within what we do at the Celebration Bowl?
That's a very good question, because I actually look at it in reverse. I look at it and see what I don't see, and then go, we're going to implement that.
Sure. Because
it doesn't exist. What we do look at though, and I attend, the college football national championships. What I do look at is the level of production, the level of execution, and how things are presented. Of course, they have a lot of money to do that.
Sure.
But we also have, we've always been innovative. We've been able to do a lot with a little. And that's what I really look at. But a couple of things I want to add. I'm going to pull a Buddy Pugh here right now. Yep, I'm going to call this the Buddy. I'm going to call this the Buddy. There are things that we also are establishing around, this week in this bowl game. When you look at the band of the year, our trophies are named after Dr. William P. Foster, who was the modern, pioneer and innovator for HBCU marching bands.
No doubt.
And then, the first official professional band director, which was at Tuskegee, William Clark. So the Division II, NAIA trophy is named after him. And it's important for that because I didn't even know about him. I just Googled who was the first professional, and his name popped up, and I started reading about this gentleman who was appointed by the President of the United States at a time when Booker T. Washington was the president. So Tuskegee had the first professional band director, William Clark. We're going to make sure that people remember him and his role that he played in professionalizing.
That's right.
Professionalizing the role of the director of marching bands.
Wow.
And then, of course, Dr. Foster sort of revolutionized the presentation of marching bands. We also, as far as the Cricket Celebration Bowl is concerned, we're going to be inducting Trey Oliver this year into an elite club.
Congratulations, Coach Oliver.
Yeah.
He will be inducted into the Champions Circle. And there's only one way into that.
Right.
And you have to win. You have to be a winning coach of the Cricket Celebration Bowl. And he accomplished that feat last year. He'll get his red jacket.
That's a red jacket.
This year.
Yeah.
And with that, they receive a lifetime invitation to the bowl game at the bowl expense. So this year you'll see, those champions, including Rod Broadway, Sam Washington, Coach Buddy Pugh, Trey Oliver. And we won't have this year, but Coach Fobbs, who did express his disappointment that he couldn't come, but he has a new head coach now, and they're in recruiting mode, but committed to us that he would be here this year. So that's something that doesn't exist out there in any of the bowl spaces. So our champion circle is an elite club that's only one way into it, and that's winning this bowl game. And this year, finally, we launched last year the Celebration Bowl Hall of Fame, and Tariq Cohen was the initial inductee for his performance in the Celebration Bowl. Well deserved. This year, we will be inducting Coach Rod Broadway into the Hall of Fame for his accomplishments at this game, and not only his one-loss record. For me particularly, and I had this conversation with the committee, Coach Broadway was the first coach that was associated with the Celebration Bowl that publicly said that the Celebration Bowl was important, and that going to the playoffs was a consolation prize. Yeah. And he stood tall and gave
amongst a lot of folks that had questions about
right, exactly.
Yes, he did.
He did. And so that, in my mind, again, was HBCU elite. Yeah. I mean, he stood and when he did that,
tremendous validation.
He gave us tremendous validation, and that was a Hall of Fame moment for us, because from there, it has progressed and it's been repeated and it's been demonstrated, on multiple occasions.
Well, I know there's a lot of institutions out there that may decide to hire folks that haven't coached before, so maybe I still have a chance. Normally that's not the case. And so most don't do that. So I can't give the red jacket. But do you have an orange or blue jacket for media?
A golden microphone.
We said innovation.
Oh man!
You need to start thinking about it.
Start thinking. You see,
you put it in the incubator now.
But with that being said, shout out to Coach Buddy Hugh and his retirement.
Very much so. Congratulations.
Another one that I imagine will get a chance to be considered for a Hall of Fame, because he doubled down after he was one of the first that said maybe going in a different direction of playoffs. Once he came here and he experienced it, he unequivocally said, no, I see why. Yeah. And both Coach Broadway, as you was talking to him, they talk all the time amongst each other. And he said, Coach Broadway, you're right.
He did. And, I've got to give you again, Coach Pugh, when he came and in the media interview, the coach's interview, who said, hey, I made a mistake. I fought this for a long time. And he was funny because being Coach P, he said, I guess God punished me because it took me so long to get
here. Some of the other coaches that did win the game, but also talked about
the importance of being here. Right.
About being
exactly.
Here, getting there. This is elite. Coach Prime, obviously, as a player covering different things, has seen some of the elite events in the world. So credit to him.
Very much so.
People see that differently. But I'm the type of person who just likes to point out facts.
Right. Yes, absolutely.
With that being said, I know you got to move and you got to get on. Any last thing?
Wow, I was having such a good time here, man. Did I really have to go?
We got time.
We're having such a good time here. Yeah. I think the only one other thing I want to talk about, and that's the fans. Because none of this is, happens without fans. The fans are the lifeblood. They're the energy of around what makes this bowl game what it is. They are the passion that drives it. And, you really get to see that, as you guys know, when you're in that stadium and you see the stands full. So I'm saying this to that fan who says, well, I don't want to go because my school is not in it. Sure. And we spend a lot of time, as you well know, changing that mindset to help people understand that, look, this is a Super Bowl. This is about family. And I have to give credit to Rich McKay with the Atlanta Falcons, because once we knew we were going to put this bowl game on, I went to him and I had a meeting. And I asked, the question was, help me understand what makes the Super Bowl the Super Bowl. And he said, well, John, it's everything that goes on around it. Because once you kick off, it's a football game. And I never forgot that. And so hence these things, like you guys being here today, adding Media Row, having Band of the Year, having our, having the grooming salon for the players, all the things that you guys are seeing that are going on
from the conferences now moved here.
Correct.
Meetings being moved here. And I'd add on to this. From what I'd experienced, it's not just the game. That is important about being there.
Yes.
But walking up in the pregame that you do.
Yes.
It's important for me to leave my hotel room early to be a part of that. Because it's second to none. It's celebratory. The spaces that you get to be in amongst colleagues and friends at the various host hotels leading up to the event. Spending time with family and friends, socializing, however you like to do, whether it's music, drink, food, or whatever, is the ultimate reason why I love being a part of this. So I had to put that out there. And again, I want to say thank you.
And I have to put this out there as well. I mean, in terms of the Celebration Bowl becoming a destination event for fans, I think you're starting to see that change that is coming about. I take my mom for instance. She's as Jackson State can be, but she's gonna make her way over here for the Celebration Bowl because of the events surrounding the game itself, and just tremendously enjoyed herself over the past 2 years coming with the Jackson State fan base to the game, and you hear a lot of fans who have come previously wanting to come back. So you're seeing it evolve into what it is that you talked about from the inception of the game. So those things really stick out in my mind.
And you make a good point, because one of the things I make a point of doing is I go to the host hotels that we have. So I'll leave here and I'll go over to the Hilton where the SWAC is, and there's a whole party going on over there. I walk across the bridge from there into the Marriott Marquis, and there's a whole party going on. And there's a strategic reason why we selected those two hotels, so that fans can easily engage with each other. And one of the things that we find coming out of that people hear is that, man, I met a lot of people that I did not know that they developed relationships with because they were here at this event. So a big part of that too, I say it again and I'll never stop saying it, goes to you guys. You know, you are the ones who are constantly shouting from the mountaintops about this event and what it is. Our job is to make sure that we deliver it. Your job is to, and what you have done so well is, and articulated so well is, hey, you need to come and see this. You need to come and be a part of it. And for us, final on this is, I always use this analogy with people when they say, well, you know, my team, if I walked up to you and asked you, hey, here are 2 tickets to the Super Bowl, would you ask me who's playing?
No.
And the answer is no.
Exactly.
So why would you say, well, my team is not in it when it's yours? When it's HBCU elite? Because this is ours. And I shared that with the commissioner last year, Commissioner Goodell. We're standing on the sidelines. And I asked him, hey, did you come here to see what the Super Bowl really looked like? And we chuckled together about it. And the response was, no, Commissioner, this is our Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And he said, I can see that. And if he can see that, then we're doing the right thing. And the NFL's been a partner with us now for about 6 years, working with the players this morning. So we're just excited about what the potential is.
Sure.
But I'm more excited, guys, about long after we're all not doing this, that we are having a vision for what does 50 years look like. And we work ourselves backwards from there. Because in 50 years, we want, from a media perspective, we want this place to be just, at a totally elite level.
Sure.
At a fever pitch. Thank you. That's the right word. And that they're everywhere. But they're also talking about this from January all the way through December. And the moment it's over, man, I can't wait.
Right.
So what we're doing for this hotel here this year, which is the first time, we got so much feedback from last year that people wanted to book their rooms.
Sure.
They wanted to book when they check out.
Yeah.
And so this year they'll be able to book their rooms for next year when they check out, because this hotel sells out.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
And I've had the opportunity to start from those beginnings. I started with the Hilton, with the SWAC. Did that for 2 years. We did that.
Yeah.
I said, hey, we're going to go experience the MEAC. We moved over to the Marriott. Did that for 2 years. And we found ourselves catching all these Lyft's, Ubers over here. Like said,
we need to centralize.
We need to be over there. He made that happen. And ever since then, we've been right here. We don't plan to go anywhere until he tells us it's time to move to whatever said location, because we rolling with you.
Well, here's something I'm going to put on the table for you guys. So when you do this next year, I want you to broadcast live from that grooming salon.
Sure.
Let me do it. So that's going to be I like that. Broadcast from it or right outside of it.
Yep.
Because I think that is our number one voted experience for the players.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
We'll have the players right there and involved.
Yes.
Come by, perfect.
Yes.
And that's why we do this, to kind of think how we get better. With that being said, we're going to take our last break. We'll come back on the other side, get a little bit more talking to the game. We'll let John have to do what he needs to do, because I'm sure his phone is lighting up calls and things like that. But we truly appreciate you spending and taking a little time to give us some updates. And I'm sure our viewers thank you for that, too. We'll be right back after this break.
DW, we get speed as the new currency of success.
Our team spends way too much time tending to outdated applications and software when they should be focused on driving application agility and innovation.
CDW Amplified Development Services modernizes software and application development to help accelerate innovation and digital transformation.
So you mean building new applications, UI, and mobile interfaces?
Well, you said you needed to innovate more quickly.
Oh, so he's a listener.
To do more at scale, trust CDW Amplified Development Services.
Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
That's a pretty tight spot.
Watch this.
Of course your Buick parks itself. That's so you.
It's just up here on the right.
Of course you know where we're going. That's so you.
Kinda got a 6th sense.
And a head-up display.
They're here.
Hit the field, warm up. You brought all these players in your Buick?
Yeah.
So you.
It is.
There's a Buick that fits your life, because at the heart of every Buick SUV is you.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
As technology continues to bring changes to the world of education, it's time we also reimagine teacher professional development. Gone are the days of one-size-fits-all learning that can only be accessed at a specific time and place. The Stride PD Center is an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that allow educators to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. The best professional development plans are those that include a level of flexibility and choice for educators. Whether you're a teacher, school, or district, visit us today to take charge of your learning.
The Cavil Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cavil.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
You see, Head & Shoulders has scalp shield technology, protects against flakes even between washes. It's never not working.
Kind of like us. We're never not working. Number 15?
That's my rub.
Ooh, nice.
Never not working.
Never, ever, never, ever not working.
Welcome everybody to Juneau, Alaska.
I don't like this one.
Me neither.
Let's get out of here.
Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders scalp shield technology.
T. Madden & Associates is a sophisticated and experienced law firm located in your neighborhood. We're turning injury to cash.
T. Madden and Associates obtained almost $2 million for my injury. They turned my injury to cash.
Now, we can't guarantee how much your injury is worth, but we've recovered millions for our clients.
Call T. Madden & Associates at 833-PAID-123. That's 833-PAID-123.
Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Lab. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Lab, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
But the analytic data what happen if you know them like I know them. They gon' tell you in the team if they wanna love. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention.
Dr. Cavil's inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Charles, 2 great interviews early on.
2 awesome interviews to start things off for the weekend.
You get you going, you lathered up, you get those interviews, you get fired up and set it. But let's get back to this game. We have, as you know, Howard Bison, champions of the MEAC, coming in at 6-5, 4-1 in the MEAC. Had 1 loss in terms of the conference play. That was lost to South Carolina State's Buddy Hugh, of all things, oddly enough, as we brought him up. And then you have FAMU, Florida A&M and Howard coming in at 11-1, 8-0 in terms of what they did in conference play, including winning a SWAC championship game. Their first one of their history and joining the SWAC. They're doing it just 2 years into the move to the SWAC, which is pretty impressive. But with that being said, North Carolina Central 50-20, including going for a 2-point conversion at the end of the game. Make sure they got 50. It was not just that, because a lot of folks were talking about why they go for 2. People forget a little bit of history. The year before, when the game was playing in Durham for North Carolina Central, Central put up 50 points. Now, it was in the maturation of the game. And it's funny to me because people talk about it personal. I don't think it was like personal when we think about that. These guys are colleagues, friends. We got to know both of them and talk to them during the MEAC media day. They literally leave all the coaches and they hang out together even longer than all the other coaches. But it is certainly a competitive balance and letting them know that we are here and we hear all that stuff and we're going to try to make a point to get there and make you study. So in my mind, before we get back in this game, the trilogy next year, game 3 is going to be interesting to see what that looks like, which is back in North Carolina Central Durham. But all that being said, what seemed to be clear path for the conference title and ticket to the Celebration Bowl was winning that game. Obviously, it was Central, so to do it in that fashion at home was huge. They did have to win the Morgan State because they had that loss to make sure they had any tiebreakers, if you would. The Bison defense held the number 1 ranked scoring offense in the MEAC to just 20 points and just 198 yards of total offense. I think that's significant when we talk about the number 1 ranked offense coming out of the SWAC.
Sure.
And not a lot of people have focused maybe on Bison's defense.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts when you hear this best win? First, do you agree with that being Howard's best win of the season?
Oh, undoubtedly, I think that is their best win, but I think just taking a look at the fact of how explosive North Carolina Central is, and for them to hold that North Carolina Central offense in check. We've talked all season about how important Darius Richard is to North Carolina Central's offense, and arguably one of the best players in HBCU football, in FCS football, and to hold him in check, hold that North Carolina Central offense in check. And when I take a look at Howard's defense, especially coming into this game, it's the out-of-conference losses that sort of prepare them to take on this, to get this best win against North Carolina Central. They were extremely competitive. Eastern Michigan, Northwestern. Say what you want about Northwestern football, but that's still a Big Ten football team that Howard came just came up short against Northwestern. Hampton and the CAA, but all that sort of in my head prepares them for this best win against North Carolina Central, and they showed up and showed out, and they got big plays in that game, and then the Howard defense was able to show their teeth in that game. So that is a game that I immediately go back to as we predict what might happen with regards to Florida A&M.
Well, if we talk about best wins, we need to talk about the worst loss. Howard was hammered 48-7 by Harvard Crimson on October 14th. Harvard scored the game's first 48 points before Howard finally got on the board with an 8-yard touchdown run by Tony Bedell with just 3:36 left in the contest. Harvard ran 341 yards on the afternoon, averaging 7.3 yards a carry. So what the defense takes us away, in this case, defense gives it. What are your concerns when you talk about the Bison that maybe they can be ran on, particularly when you talk about the FAMU Rattlers? Where are you with that, particularly looking at Bison's worst loss?
If FAMU was more of a running team,
that loss would concern me, but that is not the identity.
Even though FAMU has ran well the last two
They've
games.
ran well the past 2 games with Terrell Jennings, but we know that's not their identity. He's Willie Shotgun Simmons for a reason. All right, they throw a ball. The running game is a nice ancillary product of the way they throw the football. So yes, but I do, that would concern me if there was, a team that really grinded you out with regards to the running game. But I don't think that's FAMU's identity.
Let's look at FAMU in terms of that. Best win, the Rattlers 35-14 defeat Prairie View A&M University in the SWAC championship game. The second matchup was not the 45-7 beatdown they laid earlier against the Panthers just 3 weeks earlier during their homecoming, if you would. It was a victory that finally allowed FAMU to claim the SWAC title that has eluded them over the past 2 seasons, as you know, because of the Jackson State Tigers of all teams in conditions that were less than optimal due to storms, rain, stops, and all that. There. But the Rattlers had their second most productive day on the ground, as I alluded to. 229 yards and season high for 4 touchdowns. Prairie View has given up some points, but they didn't necessarily give up a lot of running yards. So the fact that they were able to do that, I think is significant. So, one, do you agree with it being FAMU's best win of the season? Or is it another one that you want to put up there for contention to talk about in terms of that matchup?
I think psychologically they had to get over the Jackson State hurdle. To me, that was the better win. That was the win that said we're here, and the SWAC championship has to go through FAMU, especially with regards to SWAC East. When you take a look at the Prairie View win in the SWAC championship game, I think that game lended itself because of the inclement weather to they had to run the football, and thus they were able to prove they could run the football in that game. But if I'm taking a look at the majority of the season, I think the way they dominated Jackson State, quite honestly, is the one that sticks out in my head.
That's fair. It goes so far back.
Yeah.
A lot of people forget about it.
Yeah.
Because they dominated, particularly their first half in a lot of ways.
Right.
Opening it up.
Right, especially the first half.
Great point.
Yeah.
Well, we got to look at their worst loss. The Rattlers 38-24 defeat at the hands of in-state foes, South Florida of the American Athletic Conference. Obviously, that is a FBS program. We got to put that out there. But it is their lone loss. When you talk about although the Rattlers were limited to 108 yards, South Florida's second lowest rushing output of the season. FAMU hurt themselves with 4 turnovers, which led to 10 U.S. points, and they could only run for 19 yards. Bugaboo concern you have running, and any game. What are your thoughts in terms of the lone loss on the Rattlers' schedule in regards to how that relates to the cricket celebration?
Well, the turnovers were the key metric in that game. I think if you take a look at it, and limited to only 108 yards rushing the football, they weren't able to offset the passing game with regards to running the ball in that game. And like you mentioned, 4 turnovers led directly to 10 points for South Florida, and I think that was very much a difference in the game in that game. So in terms of a worse loss, that says a lot about their team in terms of worst loss being their only loss. That's a pretty good stat. Yeah, I'll take that one all day.
All day long. With that being said, we're going to take our next break. We'll come back and we'll have our next guest to come in here for an interview. We'll sit down and talk with the coach. Stick with us. We'll be right back, and we'll leave that as a surprise to let you know what coach we're talking about. But it's one of the coaches that will be on the sidelines this Saturday. We'll tell you that. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this break.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and Instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember they can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft.
Holy Charmin. Excuse me. Roll it back, everybody. Sorry.
Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more, but it's so absorbent, you can use less, so it's always worth it.
Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go, why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
At CDW, we get speed as the new currency of success.
Our team spends way too much time tending to outdated applications and software when they should be focused on driving application agility and innovation.
CDW Amplify Development Services modernizes software and application development to help accelerate innovation and digital transformation.
So you mean building new applications, UI, and mobile interfaces?
Well, you said you needed to innovate more quickly.
Oh, so he's a listener.
To do more at scale, trust CDW Amplify Development Services.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
Compress the analytic data with the hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you the team if they wanna loud and move out. So listen to Professor, yes sir, yes and pay attention as he gon' do the lesson.
That's a pretty tight spot.
Watch this.
This is Dr. Ville's inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Man, we've been having a great day, man. We landed another good one.
Another big.
Yeah, we got the head football coach of Howard University, the Howard Bison.
Yes, sir.
Is in the building winning the MEAC champion. So we have none other than Coach Larry Scott. Coach, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. Appreciate it. Just ran off the practice field. Stacked another good practice, and happy with where we are that way, and got another event to get ready for. But it's been a great experience, this bowl game and what they've had here, and all the things and events that the players are getting a chance to partake in. It's making it a really holistic approach, and I think the kids are enjoying it.
That's really big. Yeah, we get over here and seeing the dignitaries, including yourself, walking in there and partaking, getting through this process, seeing your alumni here, seeing players. It's really big and fun when you see that. I know you can't give your game plan. No, you can. We'll talk about it. We'll take it. But when you talk about practice, in all seriousness, what do you try to get done in terms of a practice leading on to it? I imagine most of the hard work has been done previously. But there's some key things that you want to do today and leading up to this. Give us a framework of what that looks like.
You still want to keep, you want to spend some time with some individual stuff. You want to make sure your fundamentals are right, so you still get a little bit of individual time. And then timing. That's all it really comes down to, is making sure you keep timing. Things are being done at full speed. You want to monitor your reps so that you're not wearing your legs out and doing those type of things. But there's certain things you need to see and get done with the right full speed timing and those things. So it's just really keeping our timing, keeping our fundamental, keeping our tackling fundamentals really on defense, especially the ball. That's something that I'm concerned with. You get worried about with a stretch of time off. Okay. The way that we have to coach and teach tackling right now in football with all the safety issues and things that you worry about, that's something that becomes part of your fundamental core drill work. So just making sure we stay on top of that with that, so we can be as ready and prepared as we need to be to tackle well in this game.
With that being said, before I let Charles jump in and follow up question, I did want to ask you, there's always this framework as we look at, many coaches will talk about, we want to do what we want to do. Mm-hmm. But there's also the fact that you have game film preparation and you're looking at the other team. Take us inside the coaching mindset, particularly you or in general. What does that look like when you're prepping for a game, particularly a bowl game, a championship game? We'll do that on the media side, so it may change, may not. But educate us from that perspective. What is the balancing act about doing the things that you want to get done, but versus also the chess match of figuring out what they do and how you want to stop?
Yeah. I mean, right now at this point, we all have all the game film you can watch on each other. I mean, everybody's got everybody's full season, and we've kind of watched it all and seen the variations and different things they've had to do against teams that did things against them, and the same vice versa for us, and on ways of attacking things. For me, I'm a matchup guy, so really I'm gonna look at things in the perspective of where are the matchups? You know, where are matchups that are pro us, and where are the matchups that could be, ooh, that's not a very good matchup for us when it comes down to that. So being smart in your schematical approach about what are you asking your kids to do. It's one thing to just go out there and ask them to do something because that's what's called for and that's what you do. But if it doesn't match up well and you're asking a kid who's going to be isolated in certain situations, that's probably not going to have a high level of success to help you win, you may want to look at doing something a little different. So at the end of the day, it's to find the matchups, whether that's in the offense, defense, or the kicking game. Find the matchups, change the things you need to do to put you in an advantageous situation, or expose the matchup when you find one that is on your side of things. You want to make sure you're putting your kids in the best situation possible to expose that matchup.
And I love talking to coaches and getting in that.
Sure.
You don't get a chance to do that unless you develop a relationship. You can sit in the office.
Yep.
Obviously, we
Sit
have
and
our
film,
and we have our Monday calls, but we're limited to that space. But I've always been intrigued the way you go about your business and the mindset you have towards football.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you sharing that. Please, Charles.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask, the MEAC as a conference has been dominant in this game.
Mm-hmm.
They've won 6 out of 7. Do you feel any of that from your colleagues within the conference? Hey, you got to represent now. This is what we do. We come here and we win this bowl game.
Yeah, certain things in life are understood, right? It don't take a whole lot of talking about it or knowing if you see it. They know if you're a competitor, right, and you have a competitive edge. You see what's happened. You know what's going on. You know the history of it. You can't know where you're going until you know from what you're coming from. So we kind of know what's going on here. But at the end of the day, this is our moment.
Sure.
Right? The guys who've had the opportunity in the past have come away and they've taken advantage of their moment. This is about these young men and how hard they work to have the opportunity to be here. Mm-hmm. And stay focused on that. This is your moment. Don't get, all the other things, we know what has happened in the past. We know what it is. But we can't focus on that and us at the same time.
Yeah.
We can't be in the past and the present.
Yeah.
Right? All I can ask you to do is be present. Be where your feet are. Stay in this moment and what this moment means for you. And you'll look up and find yourself right where you need to be, right where you deserve to be.
Sure. Obviously, we're really well versed with your football team in terms of watching you throughout this past season. But for a SWAC audience or for an HBCU audience that is not familiar with the Howard Bison program, how would you describe this 2023 version of the Howard Bison?
You better watch all 60 minutes. We're never out of it. We found ways to win games. I think that the most thing about this thing, how resilient and how hard they've just really learned to persevere and learn how to win. There's levels to everything, right? And when you want to build a championship caliber program, you have to learn how to win. And learning how to win is difficult because you have to go through things, right? You have to go through some of the tough losses. You have to go through some of the ones where you just got smacked in the mouth, and how do you respond and grow from that? You got to go through the ones where, hey, you were ahead and teams came storming back. What does it take to stay ahead when you're ahead? So there's so many different learning lessons and levels to learning how to establish that consistent, championship caliber program. We don't want to build good teams. We want to build programs. So we knew in order to get where we really wanted to go, we were going to have to experience some things so that we can learn from those experiences. Mm-hmm. We talk about not losing in the program. We learn.
Yeah.
So every opportunity that we had that we came up on the short end of the stick, it gave us a chance to teach and teach and teach and mold and teach and teach. And those are the things that as a coach you should get fired up about, teachable moments. Right? If you don't have enough of them to build on each week to be able to make sure you're closing the gap through those experiences, I think you're going to end up at one time having some problems. Sure. So you got to go through it to get to it. And this team and these young men have been through it. They've been through it. And so you're going to watch a Howard football team. Just stay on your seat, and you better watch all 60 minutes.
No doubt.
The Jordan brand versus the LeBron brand.
That's another element. Yeah.
another storyline.
Yeah.
Be the Mecca and one of the folks that could handle that.
Yeah.
From that perspective. And so this is a multi-level question, and I'm going to ask you this from a broad perspective.
Yep.
The fans. Howard, in a lot of ways, is having a renaissance in their athletic program. Let's be frank about that.
Yeah.
Credit to all involved coaches, and that's from multiple sports.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the AD, president, past president, current president, coming in to push that along from that perspective. But Howard, in a lot of ways, has been known more for his academics. And now we're seeing that it can be done in athletics. They've done it a while back. Jay Walker was one of the last regimes, and all those players, credit to them, being able to take athletics, at least from football at that time, to a high level. You talk about the pride and taking this job and understanding that we can be both.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be an either or.
No.
Talk about the excitement and the level of brand awareness that Howard brings into Mecca. Your fans in excitement of reaching this next level to be in this Cricket Celebration Bowl as the champion of the MEAC outright.
Right.
To get that done. And this, in some ways, I would think is the beginning of where you see ultimately Howard being able to get done and go from a football perspective, if not overall, athletics and sports.
Yeah, I think, Doc, that's a really good question because in the end of the day, if it's not all-encompassing, right, which is what Howard is, it's a very complex place. And that's what makes it special. That's what makes it the Mecca. You know, multiple things can be true at the same time. It's one of those places where you're not going to take one person and just put them in a box, right, and say, hey, you only can do this. No, the one thing about the students at Howard, it's like a dream factory. You can do whatever you want to do when you want to do it. And those students believe that, and they know that they can achieve that, and because they walk in an environment that pushes them to believe that. They're surrounded by greatness, eliteness every day. You know, you walking on the bus yesterday, and Felicia Rashad's just sitting on the side of the wall, just hanging out, watching us all get on the bus. I mean, where else in America does that happen? You know, where else does that happen? And sometimes you have to pinch yourself and go, wow. You know what, man? The things that are capable.
Amazing,
You know, the sky's the limit here. There's nothing not capable and within your reach if you apply yourself, have process, and work towards it with everything. So I think that's one of the things we wrap our minds around at Howard. That's why our identity is smarter, tougher, more disciplined together. It's all-encompassing. It's just not football. It's just not third down. It's just not first down. It's woven into our daily footprint and our DNA of how we move, how we walk, how we do everything at Howard from January to, you know, December, and then we do it all over again in January.
Let's go.
You know, so at the end of the day, that's what makes it unique. That's what makes it beautiful. And if you're a student athlete who's into big picture things or are into not being limited as to what you're told that you can and cannot do, then Howard is the place for you. It is a place for you. It's a place where you can flourish, and we believe that even in sport and in football. You see what's happening across the board. It's because of that attitude and mindset, and now each one of our sports just keep raising the level and the standard.
Sure.
So now, I mean, I had a chance to be at one of the places like the University of Florida. You walk in the weight room there at the University of Florida, there's gold medalists in there, there's national champions in there, so the standard is fucking high all the time. And that's what you're starting to walk into in Howard. It's like, we don't want to be the weak link. We're not going to be the sport academically that's the weak link. We're not going to be the sport that's competitively on the courts or in the fields is the weak link. Nice. So the standard above in the whole athletic department is permeating of like excellence now. Like everybody's competing to be the best.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So it's healthy. That's the biggest thing. It's a healthy competition.
I wanted to ask this question. Did you know coming into this season that this was a championship caliber ball club, or was there a moment during the course of the season where you faced that adversity and it's like, this team is next level?
I knew we had a chance. And at the end of the day, I mean, you can work as hard as you want to, right, and do all the things right. All that really does is give you an opportunity. It gives you a chance. I know if you don't have a chance at all. So I knew we had a chance, and I knew we had some of the pieces and things that still needed to come together. There were some things that we needed to really improve on and get better at. And you saw spurts and times within the season where those things were coming to fruition. Okay, we got it now. You know, we got it now. Okay, we got it now. One thing we are is a battle-tested team. I mean, you look at our record over the last year, we don't ever play at home. But when we do, we win. So, I mean, taking the last 2 years, we're 6-0 at home, we're 8-2 in conference in a 2-year span. But we're also going on a world tour at the beginning of every year. We're in Boston, we're in Chicago, we're in Detroit, we're in New York, we're in Florida. We're all over the place. And so one thing about our kids is, but no environment is too big or too small for our guys. They're like, we're always used to being out here on our own. We all we need. So it's also a chip and an edge that we come in with as well as we continue to build it. So it come from a place of like internal motivation as to what we do and how we do it and how we play football.
That's this last one because I know you got to get around and you got things you got to do, and I really appreciate you spending a little bit of this time.
No problem.
But from this perspective, take us into what you believe your mindset will be when you go out of that tunnel. Stadium's full, the lights are finna cut on, your players are ready, you've done everything basically on your side other than ungame adjustments and key plays that you may have to call. But what do you think is going to be on your mind just before tip out or as you walk out onto the field, the team run for things to start?
Tell the guys all the time, control the controllables. What do we control? Is our effort, our commitment, our dedication to each other, our togetherness are the only thing in this element that we control. It's us against all the odds, everything. The audience, the TV cameras, it's just stay bottled and committed to us. You know, this moment is your moment, man. There's a lot of people that play football for a lot of years that never play for a championship. Right. Never get an opportunity to play for football. They played football 16 years, 17 years, and never played.
Yeah, great point.
Never played for a championship. Great players.
Yeah.
Great players that had individual accolades, but have never played for a team championship. So relish in this moment, too. Stay in the moment. Be where your feet are. And at the end of the day, man, how long have you been playing football? Most of you guys in here been playing football since you're 6 or 7 years old, right? When the curtain draw up and they say take the field, it's recess. Yes. Let's go have fun. It's in the barn. It's built now. How you been built, your preparation has got you to this point. And that's what you prepare for. Sure. You prepare to be freed, right? When you prepare for a test, you walk in the test confident knowing that you're here to pass the test.
Doubt.
You're prepared. The only thing left now is just go execute and have fun.
Yeah.
That's it. Not a lot to it.
I love that framework, and I appreciate that because as a professor, I certainly can relate to when you say the test.
The test. I was about to say.
This is supposed to be playtime.
Right. This is time to show out now. Hell, the test. Yeah, exactly.
You do your thing. I done showed out all your lecturing. It's your time to show out and do your
thing. That's it. That's exactly right.
Do whatever you want to do. Last thing for you, seriously, on this, anything that we didn't ask you or anything that you want to talk to in terms of fans, alumni, anybody out there?
No, I mean, I think this is something that Howard should expect to be a part of year in and year out. But with that, comes to much is given, much is required, right? We need some people to step up and get more involved in whether that's your time, whether that's your resources or whatever it may be, because we're just now starting to scratch the surface of how good we can be. This is Howard. It is the Mecca. It should be elite and at the top of everything that it chooses to commit itself to. So with that type of commitment from our administration, from our alums, from the student athletes and everybody that we bring here, we can create this force that should sit at the top and sit at the top alone year in and year out with who we are because of what we are and what we do it. And then we have a great city like Washington, D.C. to do it in with great alums and all. So why shouldn't we be great? That's the question. Why shouldn't we? It's not can we. Why shouldn't we?
Yeah.
And but it's going to take us all to elevate right now. Go from good to great. Great read, by the way. Book is good to great.
Yeah,
it's great read. So that's what I think we're one of those type of organizations, one of those type of corporations and company that has the ability to go from good to great and stay at the top. Okay. So let's go.
Well said. Y'all heard it from Howard University head football coach Larry Scott giving you some insight. Coach, you got me excited and fired up. You send me a Howard shirt. I'll make sure we wear it.
2 of them, man.
I'll get it out there from my side.
There you go.
Get it on this side.
Yes, sir.
Cap or something like that. Exactly.
Yes, sir. No problem.
Thank you.
We'll
Really
make sure we
appreciate
show you love. But proud of you, excited for you. I see this as the beginning, as I said, but a great culmination of the work you put in the young career you had at Howard University.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Appreciate all that.
Appreciate it, guys.
With that, we'll go to our next break. We'll come back on the other side, talk a little bit more of the game. We'll get into some key player matchups, and we'll take it from there. Again, this is Dr. Bills inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this break.
That's a pretty tight spot.
Watch this.
Of course your Buick parks itself. That's so you.
It's just up here on the right.
Of course you know where we're going. That's so you.
Kind of got a sixth sense.
And a head-up display.
They're here.
Hit the field, warm up. You brought all these players in your Buick?
Yeah.
So you.
It is.
There's a Buick that fits your life because at the heart of every Buick SUV is you.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell them mama hungry.
As technology continues to bring changes to the world of education, it's time we also reimagine teacher professional development. Gone are the days of one-size-fits-all learning that can only be accessed at a specific time and place. The Stride PD Center is an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that allow educators to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. The best professional development plans are those that include a level of flexibility and choice for educators. Whether you're a teacher, school, or district, visit us today to take charge of your learning.
The Cavil Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cavil.
Press the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you in your team if they wanna love and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention as he gon' do the lesson.
This is Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. As we get through here, we're going to process this a little more. We got talk a little bit about the key players from a Howard Bison perspective. Kenny Gallup Jr., the senior defensive back, recorded 61 total tackles, 40 solos, 6 for loss, 3 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, and 2 quarterback hurries in being named MEAC Defensive Player of the Year. Against Norfolk State, the 3-time All-MEAC performer recorded 11 tackles and the game-sealing interception, a performance that earned him FCS National Player of the Week. Gallup Jr. is a Buck Buchanan Award finalist and honor given to the best defensive player in FCS. Kenneth Gallup Jr., what's your thoughts on this senior defensive back?
Yeah, well, I mentioned it the other day, and I think this is definitely one of the players that you're going to see playing in this game that you're going to see play on Sundays, much like we saw with players from North Carolina Central, a couple players from Jackson State. We know that they're going to get an opportunity to play on the next level, and Kenny Gallup Jr. is definitely going to be one of those people. And one of the matchups that I'm most looking forward to is Marcus Riley versus Kenny Gallup. Marcus Riley has been a terror.
Some told me you're going to go
there. He's been a terror in the SWAC all season, either from a receiving standpoint or from special teams. Huge kickoff return against Jackson State. We saw him in the game against Prairie View. He got behind the defense, but he has the transfer from Bethune-Cookman. He has game-changing speed. He can get behind defense, and so it's going to be very interesting. We heard Coach Scott talk about matchups, and can he exploit matchups? And that's one of the ones that I'm most looking forward to. You talk about FAMU's defense.
Well, let me stick with Howard.
Go for sure.
We'll get back in there because I know you'll get running and we'll break all this down real fast, but I want to focus a little bit on there. But with that being said, as you talk about that young man, he's the one that did the kickoff return against Jackson State that you alluded to earlier, talking about 5'11". But dynamite in terms of, as you said, and had his biggest play to open up the season and then close with some big plays as well. So he's been key to your point. So I do want to spend a little more time with him and some other key players you can from FAMU. Let's go back to Howard. You gave me a little bit on the defensive side, but let's go to the offensive side. Obviously, in a lot of that, people look at these running backs. Let me start with one of them. Famous last name in a lot of ways in terms of his dad. I'll leave that out to some degree before we get into it. But Edwin James, he is the son of University of Miami, an NFL star, retired star, Edwin James. For himself, he averaged the third highest yards per game of any running back in the MEAC with 63.6 yards per contest. James has 572 yards and were the second most for a Howard University running back, with the biggest game coming against the Big Ten's Northwestern, where he ran for 177 yards, including a 64-yard run and a touchdown on 21 carries, while adding 3 touchdowns for 36 yards.
Yeah, I mean, when you take a look at what Edwin James brings to this Howard offense, and it's not just him, it's the three-headed monster, and I think that's what everybody who has looked at this game has said, it's going to come down to what's going to happen in the trenches. And you're talking about Howard's three-headed monster with regards to Jared Hunter, Edwin James, and Ian Wheeler attacking that front seven of FAMU, which I think is going to be fascinating to see if their defensive line and those linebackers can flow and hold up under this very impressive running game. And I've said this, FAMU's defense reminds me so much of Jackson State's defense the past 2 years. You could not run on Jackson State in conference play, and then magically something happens here in the Celebration Bowl. So it's fascinating. It's really a very interesting storyline, because the past 2 years are some of the best, historically, some of the best defenses that I've seen with regards to Jackson State. And North Carolina Central and South Carolina State were able to do what they needed to do to win those games. So that makes this matchup really fascinating, because, like I said, Howard is that traditional MEAC team. They bludgeon you, running the football, play great defense, and let the course of the game take its toll.
With that being said, the last person I want to ask you about, you may want to add a different Howard player as well after this one, but I'm going to stay with the running game, because it's a duel, and some people may say even see a trio. They get it done for the Howard Bison. And this one is Jared Hunter. He happens to be a senior. And so he has that senior pedigree, if you would, with the experience. But he's a running back, was named to a MEAC all-conference team for a third time. Following a season in which Hunter appeared in 11 games and led the Bison with 602 yards on 133 attempts and 8 touchdowns. Hunter's first 100-yard game of the season came in the Bison's 50-20 defeat of North Carolina Central, you alluded to earlier, where he ran for 113 yards and 2 touchdowns on just 14 carries. So he can get loose and have big running plays in a lot of ways. He also can be effective out of the backfield with catching.
That's the big
6
thing.
passes for 53 yards that I know you get excited about in terms of all-purpose back that you love to see. The second game came in the season's final against Morgan State, a 14-7 victory cemented by Howard's place in the Celebration Bowl, which he ran for 108 yards and a touchdown on 21 carries in that matchup. Tell us your thoughts about Jared Hunter.
Well, it's the ability to be the Swiss Army knife. A guy who can run in between the tackles, he can bounce it out, but provides that extra something in terms of being able to catch the ball out of the backfield, and he's scary in open space. So that's another fascinating little storyline in terms of, him being that check down, going against a safety or a linebacker. Can he win that play? So it's those little things that you're looking for. But, I mean, and another player that, I think is going to be completely key to the game, Howard's quarterback, Quentin Williams. I mean, we saw him against North Carolina Central have one of his best days as a quarterback at Howard. Can he recreate the magic, if you will, in this game?
Well, before we talk a little bit about the Rattlers, the real star has made it into the building.
I mean, when the celebrities come in, my goodness, time stops. The planet quits moving on its axis. I mean,
big time, but much love in all seriousness, and appreciate the support as always. Let's look at FAMU key players, and I'm going to start from the quarterback position. I know some people would have wanted to talk a little bit about Howard's quarterback, Williams, in terms of what he gets done, but I'm going to do that on FAMU side. Jeremy Musa, who's been quintessential. Some fans may have want him to be more or whatever, but at the end of the day, he's had an incredible record at FAMU, and this season he got it done. Again, reminding you all, he was 11-1 overall.
Yeah.
You talked about just one loss on the scratch sheet, which is against an FBS team.
Yeah.
8-0 in the conference in terms of conference play, coming back to getting it done, ultimately to get here, winning the SWAC championship game on his ledger, meaning he had to beat Prairie View twice.
Yeah.
The Vanderbilt transfer was named 2023 preseason SWAC Offensive Player of the Year, and was named the preseason All-SWAC first team, as well as Phil Steele, SWAC Offensive Player of the Year, all SWAC first team. Musa completed 195 in terms of his passes for those yardage. SWAC leading 2,604 yards. In terms of we got down 19 touchdowns and a conference best 236.7 yards per game. What are your thoughts of Musa, particularly in this matchup?
Tremendous football player, especially when in regard to the way he spreads the ball around to all of the weapons that FAMU has at receiver. And like I said, if you can't get to him, he's going to carve you up. And that's been the story, I think, of Jeremy Musa. And then another small element that I think sometimes we kind of gloss over, but we saw it in the Texas Southern game. He has the ability to get out of the pocket and use his legs when he needs to. He will beat you from the pocket, but in that game we saw him able to get some huge first downs for FAMU, especially as they were able to get that offense up and running.
Good stuff, good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get into Isaiah Majors. Major brings major pain.
Yeah.
Major led the Rattlers with 100 total tackles, 59 solos, 11.5 tackles for a loss, 2 sacks, and a fumble recovery and an interception, which was a pick six. As Mike would say, a portrait in a pear tree in a lot of ways of that, particularly this time of the year, acquiesce in terms of what he gets done. The two-time All-SWAC performer garnered SWAC Defensive Player of the Week honors after tuning in 11 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, and 2 sack performance in the Rattlers matchup against South Florida. Tell us your thoughts on Isaiah Major. Will he be a big component of this matchup on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about Isaiah Major, he's the straw that stirs the drink for the Florida A&M defense. One of the best in the nation in terms of what they've been able to get done. And like I said, I think the most impressive thing about looking not just at Isaiah Major, but this dark cloud defense as a whole, they don't allow you to run football. They make you one-dimensional, and I think that's the big thing that jumps out at you with regards to not just Isaiah Major and the way that he flies around all over the place, but this defense does a tremendous job of constricting your offense and not allowing you to, get into your game flow.
Good one, good one. Another one I want you to get at, and let me know, Anthony Dunn Jr. Dunn Jr. completed a 5-game freshman campaign. Love it when the freshmen get in the mix because they're no longer freshmen at this time.
Yeah, exactly.
By recording 6 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, a forced fumble, a fumble recovery in the Rattlers' 41-20 win over Bethune-Cookman in the Florida Classic. Building off that performance, Dunn put together a sophomore season in which he recorded 43 tackles, 22 solo, 2.5 tackles for loss, and 8 sacks, earning him a spot in the All-SWAC first team defense. Tell us your thoughts about Anthony Dunn and his ability to play on the defensive side and maybe let Isaiah Majors do what he needs to do to get around to make the big plays.
Yeah, part of that front four who's able to, be extremely disruptive. I mean, and the stats bear it out, 12.5 tackles for loss, 8 sacks. He's one of those people that you have to double team at times, and it allows other people to get to the quarterback as well. So Howard undoubtedly will have to know where he is, where Anthony Dunn is at all times.
I know there were a couple of other FAMU folks that you started to hit on. Any of them you wanted to go back and get in to make sure you got in the mix and said, hey, y'all need to focus on these players as well. Where are you about when you talk about some of those key FAMU rattlers that are moving around, shaking and getting it done?
Yeah, Jamari Sharif. That's another wide receiver, quick and fast, 5'7", 175 pounds. He creates issues with regards to FAMU throwing the football around. Jaquez Yan, big back, short yardage situations. You want to put the ball in his hands. On the defensive side of the ball, you take a look at a guy like Kendall Bowler, defensive back, Javon Morgan, another defensive back. It's that FAMU secondary. They have the ability to really shut down sides of the field. And like I said, that it reminds me so much, and I hate to keep saying it, but it reminds me so much of the way Jackson State's defense played over the past 2 years, where in conference they were dominant.
Good stuff, good stuff. Before we take this last break, we do have Dr. Kevin Granger in here, VP of Intercollegiate Athletics.
Very busy guy right now.
Sharing some love off the schedule.
Yeah.
All these reports out there, I did ask the question. He wanted to remind me in terms of what's going on over there as the coach in there, that there has not been a head coach named. With that being said,
make sure you get that back out there. Yeah.
Just assured y'all that there has not been a coach named at Texas Southern University. As we mic him up, we'll get it here from him first to give you our updates of what's taking place at Texas Southern University in Houston, Texas.
First-hand account.
Dr. Kevin Granger.
Hello.
It's good to have you on the set. Bring you on here and ask some questions. But before we get into what everybody wants to know, let's welcome you the right way. How you doing?
Great. How you all doing? Thanks for having me on.
It's always a pleasure to get you in here and your insight. Tell us a little bit about the exciting things you got going on at Texas Southern University.
Well, the main thing that we have going on, obviously we have the coaching search that's everybody is aware of. A lot of incorrect information that's being shared, but
so
we
you
understand
haven't named the head football coach?
I have not named the head football coach. So we understand it, though. We understand everybody wants to break the story and wants to be in the know and things of that nature. So we understood. We knew it would happen with the process that we followed this time around. We followed an extensive process, kind of extended one, too. We wanted to make sure we got it right. We didn't want to rush this time around, because this is probably, in my opinion, under my tenure, probably my most important hire.
Sure.
So we really wanted to get it right and put the best person in the position so we can turn the corner in football at Texas Southern. Football has been down for quite some years at Texas Southern University, and so we want to turn that around. I think in our other sports we are already competitive, at least. We may not win a championship in every sport, but we have been competitive. And so once we get football right, I think Texas Southern will be on the rise.
What makes this a good job? Some people would say a great job. What surrounds this in your mind that allowed you all to go back and take the time that you wanted to get it right, get the person that you believe will be the right coach? What are the dynamics surrounding Texas Southern University that makes this the quality job at this time?
If you look at Texas Southern is in Houston. I mean, anytime you're in Houston, Texas, I mean, you're in a nice place. I mean, you got pro teams and pro sports right around you. We also, you look at the upgrades we are making in facility-wise through our partnership with the Texans. We were just able to install a $1.4 million field turf, a new turf, per our partnership with the Texans this summer. And we also was able through that partnership to redo and upgrade the locker rooms and the media room in the football field house. And not to mention, we're really close to opening up our new $3 million strength and conditioning facility. And so we feel with the things that we're adding and all the elements that come with being in Houston, Texas, that that makes Texas Southern attractive. And not to mention our academic performance as well.
Actually, I wanted to follow up on that, and because Texas Southern Athletics is experiencing that renaissance that you're talking about. But what has been the key in terms of forming those strategic relationships with the Texans and with some others in terms of rebranding Texas Southern Athletics?
Well, I think you just got to get out there. And thankfully, most, as you all know, most deals are done on relationships. I mean, we are thankful that we have relationship with these individuals that you're mentioning of. We just have formed a partnership with the Astros, where the Astros is helping us or assisting us in building softball and baseball. We're implementing, we're close. If you come to Texas Southern and you walk around, we're almost finished with our golf simulation. We have a partnership with
Excited
Peen.
about that, yeah.
We have a partnership with Peen Golf, and if you come in there and see the equipment and the new things that we have on that
Charles
front.
said he's going to see if he can get us a couple of practice.
We'll get him
excited about that. Superbly excited.
We'll get you. We'll definitely get you in there. Might not get you in there that much, but we'll work you in the schedule.
I already talked to Coach about it. Man, I got to get in there.
And I will say this too. Even our relationship now with Michael Strahan. I've been on the call, several calls now with Michael Strahan. He said he's back on board, back supporting TSU. And going now when he come to Houston, Texas and visit his mother, he will no longer pass Texas Southern University up. He'll make sure he come on and be a presence on the campus. And so those things are really important anytime you're trying to move your academic program forward.
Sure.
Good stuff there. Last thing I have for you in terms of this process, again, what were some of the things that you were looking for in a potential candidate that you see that can move this program forward?
Well, obviously you want to look at the first thing, experience. We wanted someone with head coaching experience because, I mean, no knock on anything. When you're assistant, it's a learning curve. We all know that. I've been an assistant athletic director before I moved up, and thankfully Dr. McClelland allowed me to go to the SWAC meeting, which I'm here for now, go to the cabinet meeting. So I got a little head start on understanding the role that I was going into. Assistant coaches most time need that, that little time to grow into the position. We feel where we are at, we needed someone that already had that experience and didn't need that growth. Obviously, we wanted to look at someone who has won championships, who has been successful. Now, championships wasn't a caveat of all things, but it was important for us because we wanted to look at success. If you had success before, if you experienced success, if you know how to lead a team to be successful. We also wanted to look at GSR, APR rates from a coach. Do you understand the NC2A process and things of that nature? And those were important. And also was important for, can you build with a relationship with alums? From our alums, it's been said, we hear their questions. They want to build relationship with the head coach. And so we needed someone who would go out there and build those relationships so we can connect our alums back together.
If you would, and this may be a difficult one to tackle, so you can decide if it's fair to answer it or not, in regards to the process. And I ask this in terms of approval process.
Right.
Some universities, at the end of the day, basically the board has to approve a hire.
Correct.
But oftentimes the president's chancellor is involved.
Right.
Can you allude and tell folks what that process looks like when you get through, whether you're doing a committee or non-committee? AD, VP of Athletics, has a coach in mind, or one that has went through the committee. What is the process to finalize the hiring of a coach? What does that look like? You get to say, okay, now this is the hire, HR, let's get it done, or do you have to push it and have it approved from a president, chancellor, ultimately approved at a board level from the Board of Regents?
Well, the steps are, it's my job to get to the final candidate at the end of the day. Now, most of the times you would take a multitude of candidates, not as many, but you'll take quite a few candidates, at least your top 3, 4, in to visit with the president. If you're running the system and trying to do it correct, you want your president involved. Your president needs to know the steps, because at the end of the day, the president goes in most of the time in there with the board to get the final approval of the candidate. And so we made sure we kept our president involved throughout the process. So, President Siles was aware of who all we bringing in at that time, who we interviewing, and then we gave opportunity for the president to meet those candidates and feel comfortable. We didn't want to bring anybody or recommend anybody to the president that she did not feel comfortable with, because I don't think that's a good way to operate. And then obviously after make the recommendation to the president then will make the recommendation to the board for final approval.
Good stuff, and I think that's important contextually.
Yeah.
A lot of us fans, I'll include myself,
Sure.
even though I tend to know processes, but we don't always have an opportunity to educate our fans.
Right.
I think a fully informed, educated fan is the best
fan.
So I appreciate you taking that time and really laying that out of what it looks like in general, particularly for Texas Southern University. Last question, I know you're busy schedule, you got to get around. Take us inside the SWAC meetings as a VP of ADF Athletics. What does that look like? Obviously, you don't necessarily talk about particulars. Now, if you have something you want to give us.
No, Dr. McClelland might not be happy.
We'll take that too. But with that being said, could you give us a framework of what the meetings look like? When the ADs and VBs get in this room, who's directing, how to, you just have a line item, things you discuss, people bring stuff up. Is there a planning process of what agenda item might be? What does that look like for the fans that are interested in the backside of?
Well, it's all of the above, as you just alluded to. It gives us an opportunity. It's an exciting time too, though, because it gives us an opportunity to hear from our, the other ADs in the conference on some of the things or challenges they may be experiencing, and it also gives some guiding points to if things come up for you as well. It also gives us an opportunity to review what coaches have recommended. A lot of time coaches make their recommendation through their meeting, but then it obviously have to fester up through the ADs and vice presidents to make a final vote on things before then it gets sent to the presidents for final approval. So it gives us a great opportunity to get caught up and get aware of everything that the conference office is laying out. New, exciting, things that they are pushing and trying to get out to all of the schools. And it also gives us opportunity to collaborate to make things better. When we come into our championships, what more can we do for our student athletes to enhance their experience? And so we are trying to make sure, too, that we're all competitive. I mean, we don't want no easy week. I mean, we want fans to be entertained and things of that nature and see quality games, when they come out, because that's what brings fans out. They want to see quality competition. And so those are all of the things, that we go through when we're in the meeting.
That's
Promise
important.
to let you out on this, and that's great information.
Yeah.
We get out there, you don't always hear.
Quality
Just
plus
wanted to make sure
entertainment.
you
I like
have
that.
Texas Southern University has not named a head football coach at this point.
That is correct, and you can put that on record. You're hearing it from me. It's a lot.
We had you. We thought we asked the question.
Hey, it's a lot of sources, as they say. Every time I look up, someone sending me a text saying, "Hey, you done named the coach. Congratulations. Sources said this." Or
like,
you haven't named the coach. I'm like, you're never talking to me, so who are your source? If you call me, I'll tell you the truth. That's just the way I am. I'm gonna be open and I'm gonna be truthful. I'm not gonna mislead people. So if you want to know something, just call me, and I'm gonna be truthful with you.
Sure.
Appreciate it. With that, we'll get you out of here. We'll take our next break. This is Dr. Ville's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. It was great to be able to spend a little time, quality time with you. We told everybody that you're a gentleman. We had dinner with you last night.
Okay.
I didn't say that you picked up the tab. That was. I said, man, this dude he's out of sight. Anytime he needs us around.
Tremendous guy. Yeah.
From Little Scuba, Mississippi.
That's
Hey,
it.
Gentlemen
That's it.
scholars, they make that.
Hey, we call us the Big S.
Yes.
Yes.
With that being said, let's just get out of here after this last break. Dr. Ville's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
You see, Head & Shoulders has Scalp Shield technology, protects against flakes even between washes. It's never not working.
Kind of like us. We're never not working. Number 15?
That's my rub.
Ooh, nice.
Never not working.
Never, ever, never, ever not working.
Welcome everybody to Juneau, Alaska.
I don't like this one.
Me neither.
Let's get out of here.
Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
T. Madden and Associates is a sophisticated and experienced law firm located in your neighborhood. We're turning injury to cash.
T. Madden and Associates obtained almost $2 million for my injury. They turned my injury to cash.
Now, we can't guarantee how much your injury is worth, but we've recovered millions for our clients.
Call T. Madden and Associates at 833-PAID-123. That's 833-PAID-123.
Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Lab. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Lab, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentjax.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember they can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft.
Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody. Sorry.
Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more, but it's so absorbent, you can use less, so it's always worth it.
Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
At CDW, we get speed as the new currency of success.
Our team spends way too much time tending to outdated applications and software when they should be focused on driving application agility and innovation.
CDW Amplified Development Services modernizes software and application development to help accelerate innovation and digital transformation.
So you mean building new applications, UI, and mobile interfaces?
Well, you said you needed to innovate more quickly.
Oh, so he's a listener.
To do more at scale, trust CDW Amplified Development Services.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
That's a pretty tight spot.
Watch this.
Of course your Buick parks itself. That's so you.
It's just up here on the right.
Of course you know where we're going. That's so you.
Kinda got a sixth sense.
And a head-up display.
They're here.
Hit the field, warm up. You brought all these players in your Buick?
Yeah.
So you.
It is.
There's a Buick that fits your life because at the heart of every Buick SUV is you.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door. Tell them I'm hungry.
Press the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a law left and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention as he gon' teach a lesson.
It's Dr. Cavil's inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington. Charles is running on fume. We got to get him something to eat. So it looks like I might have 2 steak dinners I got to get rid of. These folks here. I don't know. I keep getting the steak man having this all up.
We know who to go to.
You know who we have. We have the head football coach. Let me put some respect on that. Champion head football coach, Coach Willie Simmons of the Florida A&M Rattlers, winner of the 2023 SWAC championship football-wise. Let me do this right. I know you've been running around, everything. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing well. Just got off the practice field, and we're ripping and running. A lot of events for the guys, which is great. The Celebration Bowl, the NFL Players Association, they're doing a lot of events for the guys, financial literacy, different symposiums, and so we're trying to squeeze all that in around getting ready to go and play a huge game on Saturday.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot going on. We're here in Atlanta at the Omni, where the coaches and players stay getting ready for this big football game, and you just talked about coming out of practice. How did practice go?
It was spirited. I thought the guys did a great job. Shout out to Woodward Academy, Coach Hunt there, allowing us to utilize their resources and facilities. And one of our former alum, Mario Allen, not former alum, an alum, one of our former players, Mario Allen, coaches their quarterback. So connected with him last week, told him we needed somewhere to practice. They set it up for us, and I thought it was a great day.
It's good to hear. It's good to hear. Charles, you want to follow up with?
Well, yeah, I did want to follow up with in terms of.
Was that your stomach growling I hear?
I know, right? Thanks, Coach. Yeah, put me on blast. I wanted to ask you, and you touched on it, in terms of all the events that are going on with regards to the pageantry of the Celebration Bowl, but making sure that you fine-tune everything prior to Saturday. What has that process been like? Did you implement the game plan prior to coming here and knowing that a lot of things were going to be going on this week? Or
Well, I think fortunately for me and this football team, I've been a part of bowls before as a player and even as a coach. And so I tell the guys all the time, if we were the only ones dealing with something, then I would allow us to make excuses for it. But we're not. Bowl season is I think there are 50-plus bowls. So every team that's playing in a bowl this year has to do the same thing we're doing. They go to a foreign city, they have a bunch of events, and they have to prepare for the game. And typically you go in 3 to 4 days prior to actually playing. So just my experience having to navigate the different events like we talked about, still having to prepare, still having to do staff meetings, and try to stay as consistent with our routine as possible is something that I think is very, very critical for our preparation. So we had our normal Thursday practice, and the guys were, like I said, they were focused and locked in, and now they're having lunch, and they'll finish that up and go right to a financial literacy seminar that the NFL puts on. So again, just trying to balance everything, but not taking away from the main thing, which is the game on Saturday. Sure. But I do think it's great that we get to experience all of the other events. And fortunately for us, playing in the Orange Blossom Classic, the start of the season kind of gave us a preview of that, because sure. Much like a bowl, the Orange Blossom Classic brings you in early, has some events and things for the guys. And so this isn't unfamiliar territory for our football team.
Sure thing.
That's a great point when you talk about the preparation and classics, how it's unique to HBCUs, but it prepares you in a lot of ways for this bowl experience. But I want to take it in a little different direction in terms of the orange and green. In a lot of ways, you're talking about Air Jordan, but LeBron James. I know I want to get a long list for those shoes. I know this list, but to put me somewhere on the list, I can get there. But all in seriousness, in terms of the magnitude that excited me having a chance to come to the press conference on last Thursday was the pride in the mix. Both coaches talked about the academic framework of these institutions and getting it done in athletics as well, and that there's not a or option, it's an option. Talk about your excitement in terms of the academic pedigree of FAMU, as well as what you're able to do with your players from that perspective.
Yeah, I think that's a very, very important point and a key aspect of our overall recruitment and us just pushing the brand that is not only FAMU and Howard University, but HBCUs as a whole. One of the things, and I think I can speak for pretty much every HBCU head football coach, one of the more challenging things that we face when we go out to recruit are the negative stereotypes, oftentimes associated with HBCUs. There's this misconception or this stigma that our schools are second rate. And so that's why it was so important for our administration, led by President Dr. Larry Robinson, to push this initiative to break the top 100 public institutions nationally. And when we go into a home now, it's not just we're the number one public HBCU, which we take great pride in, but we can also boast that we're one of the top 100 public schools in America. And that's profound, right? There are over 1,000 public institutions across the country, and FAMU's in the top 10%. And again, we talk about it from our perspective, but when you look at the schools falling next in line, I mean, there's some great academic institutions. I've been blessed to be a part of 3 at Alcorn State, Prairie View A&M, and now Florida A&M. All 3 institutions, top-notch academically, do a great job of preparing our young men and women for life. Jackson State, another one. So, again, I think that's just something that we have a chance to really, really push this weekend, the black excellence that is HBCUs. We've been around for a long time, and we'll continue to be around because the proof is in the pudding when you look at the percentage of doctors and lawyers and pharmacists, educators that come from HBCUs. We're making up over half the population of African Americans and minorities in those respective fields, and I think that's monumental. And so having a football game is great because you have 2 really good institutions athletically, but what can be talked about from an academic standpoint when you really start to talk about a Florida A&M and a Howard University, I think people watching this game maybe for the first time, their first experience with HBCUs, it'll open some eyes to what we can accomplish and what our young men and women accomplish across the country and the world.
I asked Coach Scott this very question as he sat here 15, 20 minutes ago, but you carry the banner for the SWAC in this Celebration Bowl. Is there any more pressure in terms of coming into this game that you might be experiencing? It's different from their perspective. They've been the victor in the Celebration Bowl. But how do you look at it from your perspective?
Well, again, that word pressure has different connotations. You have some people that say there's no such thing as pressure. You have other people use the cliche, pressure, forms diamonds and all those different things. But I've always been a self-driven and self-motivated individual. No one can place higher standards on me than I place on myself.
Sure.
And so I fully expect to prepare our football team to go in and play a great game on Saturday. I try to push our guys to set high expectations for themselves. And people ask me all the time, how I feel. Well, I feel like we're a team that has another game to play, and I'll start celebrating about 3 o'clock on Saturday, and so don't want our team to get to the point where we're riding those emotional highs or we're experiencing lows, because in football it's going to bring a lot of successes but also a lot of letdowns, and how we respond to those things ultimately determine who we are. And so I don't want to wrap everything up in this one game. Win, lose, or draw, and we clearly expect to win, but win, lose, or draw, there's no failure this weekend.
Sure.
Somebody has to win the game, somebody will lose the game, but there are no failures. We're all winners. And so, again, we talk about what we can get out of this game as far as just highlighting our institutions and our brands, what we're able to accomplish. I mean, that's the main thing. So for us, no pressure. I appreciate the support. I've probably gotten a text or a call from every head coach in the SWAC. The commissioner, has been right here, and of course, he makes it known every time you see him what the expectation is. And so again, it's not pressure; it's support. It's a lot of support from the SWAC. I mean, other schools. I mean, this is the one time where it's okay that a FAMU and a Jackson State fan can be on the same page.
Yeah.
Right?
One SWAC.
A Southern fan and a FAMU fan. Last year it was a Southern fan and a Jackson fan. So, we're all one. We're all the Southwestern Athletic Conference pulling together. Everyone is on the FAMU bandwagon for this weekend because, again, we want to bring the Celebration Bowl back to the SWAC. Mm-hmm. And we're tired of hearing the narrative, of the MEAC's quote-unquote dominance over the SWAC. We don't like it. We feel it's untrue and unjust, and we have to do our part to make sure that we prove that, So there's no pressure per se from an outside perspective. I put pressure on myself to make sure that I'm preparing myself and I'm preparing this team. So, the temptation to, see the sights and the we're right here in the mecca of everything. You look out the glad you got a Ferris wheel right outside. You got you're right in the midst of everything. So the temptation to lock in, to not, to enjoy all this stuff as opposed to, hey, let me watch one more clip of third down. Maybe that's the difference in the game. Hey, let me look at, Quentin Gallup one more time to see, even though he's the MEAC Player of the Year, where his deficiencies are and see if we can exploit those. Those are the things that we have to do in this city. We challenge our team to do the same thing, and so far I'm pleased with what I've seen.
Yeah, we think alike, Kenny Gallup.
Well, Coach KJ Black, we're in these ciphers, if you would, in terms of HBCUs. I'll tell you, he's holding it down, not just for the SWAC, but particularly for FAMU, and more importantly, his coach, as he likes to say, Coach Willie Simmons. So shout out to Coach KJ Black for being sincere about that. And that's going to get to my follow-up question. The short time I've had a chance to experience and talk with you, I know you really believe in developing authentic relationships. So if you would, let me take you back for a minute, because I know we don't always get a chance to really celebrate those wins as you're talking about. After the game, and obviously you knew he was coming, you saw him, but what was it like to have Ashley Robinson that gave you your first opportunity at Florida A&M University to decide, coming from Jackson, and he thought it was important for what many thought was a culmination, ultimately got it done to that point, to be there and witness you winning your first championship as a head coach that happened to be in the SWAC at Florida A&M, a very prominent program. Talk a little bit about what we don't always get to understand about our coaches that are out here developing men. I say in a lot of times young women, because we have staff with them doing a lot of things around the program with support that are important, and they're engaging, and they're also seeking to graduate and develop their career. So it's not just young men. It is a holistic family approach about that at FAMU and across this landscape with SWAC and HBCUs. Talk to me about what that meant and how you felt.
Well, it meant Asher Robinson's calling me.
On cue.
So crazy. It's literally so crazy. Can't write a better script. Can't make it up. He might be listening in. Boss man, what's good with you, boy? No, but you hit it on the head. I mean, this football is so much more than just a game. It's about genuine, authentic relationships that span a lifetime. When I finally got over that hump and won that first SWAC championship, my phone was almost dead. I had so many text messages, congratulating me on accomplishing that feat. And it wasn't just from Rattler Nation. It wasn't even just from Prairie View alum. It was from former players, guys I had coached, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And, just those genuine relationships that, that we build over this time. I mean, coaches that I've worked with, administrators that I've been blessed to work with. It's genuine, and so I think the only time that it was an issue was when we had our post-game celebration, and I thanked my family, I thanked my wife, and then I gave Asher Robinson like a special shout-out, and the wife kind of felt kind of way about that. Like, I know you ain't going to highlight Asher Robinson over me. I was like, not really. It's not like that. I mean, you didn't really give me my first head job. Like, you were my first and only wife, and that's to be celebrated. But we're not really celebrating marriage right now. We're celebrating the football accomplishment. So, but right. he's been, I tell you what, man, he's been a mentor. He's been a friend. Just invaluable, just what I've learned. You're talking about a guy that gave me my first chance to be a head coach. So to see it come full circle 9 years later, he's seen the growth and the maturation. When I first took the head job there at Prairie View, I mean, I was 34 years old, didn't know anything about Texas, didn't know anything about Prairie View other than having played them in the conference, didn't know anything about being a head coach really. This is really on-the-job training. Like, coaching is the only profession that I know of that there is no training that you get. Like, if you're going to be a teacher, you got to go through a certification process. You want to be a police officer. If you want to be a barber. Yeah. Both my nephews are barbers, and they got to train for like 6 months to be able to cut someone's hair. Yeah. Coaching is, hey, here's your position, go get it. Yeah. And you learn on the fly. So whether it's a position coach, a coordinator, or even a head coach, it's all on the job training. And so to sit there with Ashley, to have him help me through the process of being a head coach, of teaching me how to deal with people. That's one thing. And of course, he's sitting here now, so I'm going to give him his roses. One gift that Ashley has, he has many, but the one gift that I've seen firsthand is his ability to deal with people. And this is a people-driven industry that we're a part of, whether it's coaching young men, whether it's dealing with our administration, the young women that we're, raising as well. It's all about relationships. And so when you're authentic in those relationships, you get more out of it than you put out. I've gotten more out of the relationships that I've been around than than I feel like I put out to them. And so, this guy here, man, is more than my former boss. He's a lifetime friend. He's a lifetime supporter. And even when we're going head to head, and we have for the last 3 years, it's a genuine mutual relationship, much like Bishop. Much like Charles. He wears his on his sleeves a little bit different than A-Rod. A-Rod can be neutral. You can tell it. He'll come embrace him after the game.
I'm working on it.
He was the same this year. He was the same this year after the game than he was the years they won. I think Charles hid for like 2 months. I don't think he wasn't even on the show when I was coming. I'm like, where's Charles? I'm like, man, this.
Wow. On assignment those weeks.
With that being said, we have Ashley Robinson with us, Vice President of Collegiate Athletics at Jackson State University. They like to say over the Jackson State. And with that being said, we just asked Coach about authentic relationships. Mm-hmm. This is more than just a job, right?
Right.
You have an opportunity to change lives, and oftentimes we think about those lives in terms of young men in that, right? But really, it's young men and women in regards to multiple sports. Even in football, we have women around that help in terms of facility, helping get things done and make it work. And then we talk about, and we don't really talk about, relationships with hiring coaches, right? Yeah. Building them up, giving people their first opportunities. And so I asked them, Coach Willie Simmons, this question. What was it like? All the things coming down, you win your first championship, and you have Ashley Robinson that provided you with your first head coaching opportunity. thought it was important enough out of his time to travel to Tallahassee and witness the culmination, right? And ultimately see him, Coach Simmons, get it done. He shared his thoughts. We asked you to share your thoughts.
I mean, it was huge. Just, you know, I've never went to another game as an athletic director, and I shared that, you know, with Coach, because that's, you know, I just never done that. But I felt like the relationship that we had, and not only was, you know, we gave each other a chance. You know, I was, you know, I was a rookie to the game.
Yeah.
He was the first time head coach. So, you know, a lot of times we sit and we figure stuff out. You know, we talk about it all the time. We wish we knew what we knew then. You know, but one thing that we had, and I tell people that all the time is,
So you telling me Prairie View back down had multiple championships? Y'all had
It was a petri dish.
right?
Man, if you take the knowledge that we have now,
Yeah, hey,
man.
we talk about that all the time. You know, because you know we was learning. You know, and I was learning, and you know I took the approach of, hey coach, what you need? You know every time, and you know, hey, he would come to me and say, hey, what you need me to do? You know, it was times I remember times that we would have events, and you know, first time AD, first time coach, I would get up and talk about the program. You know, everybody respects your head football coach, but coach would get up and talk about all the other programs and all the other coaches, but I never shared that with him. But he's always got up, and that's that marketing in him.
Yeah.
He wanted to make sure that we talked about the whole program. You know, he wanted to see the whole program elevate, and you know, at that time we had a great leader. You know, one of the best, you know, presidents I've ever worked for is George Wright. And I think that was one of the biggest mistakes that happened at, you know, at Prairie View, and I can say that now. But you're talking about the support that he gave to us, you know. Yeah, it's athletics. And when you got a president telling you, hey, keep me out the newspaper.
Yeah.
Make sure that, you know, we ain't got no NCAA violations. I want to win. What it's going to take to win, you know. So, you know, the relationship that me and Coach have, it goes a long way on both sides. You know, yeah, I hired Coach, but at the same time, he hired me too.
Yeah.
Because, I mean,
I ain't signed his check.
Right? You know, we sat a lot of times and just sat and just talked about, hey, man, what we need to do here, what we need to do there, you know. So, you know, we work together.
Oh my goodness! I mean,
man, it was some late nights, late nights. Hey, boss,
you know?
what you doing,
Right.
boss? I'm on the way.
Right. Yeah.
On the patio.
And keep in mind, you know, we got newborns on the way. You know, I think I was there for him when he had his first child. His wife and him was there for me. And, you know, I was in New Orleans at SWAC meetings, and they was at the hospital before I was.
Wow.
So, you know, it goes back. You know, it goes back to we shared a lot of great times together, and we learned a lot from each other.
Let me ask this question, because that brings up a very interesting dynamic. Both of you all, young coach, young AD. What has been your biggest thing in terms of growth that you've seen from your time at Prairie View to where you are now at FAMU? And I'll ask you the same thing.
Well, for me, I mean, it's just, again, same thing, just soaking up knowledge and information from the people that I've been blessed to be around. You know, like Ashley said, we were fortunate, man. I mean, to have a university president who was so heavily engulfed in the athletic culture there at Prairie View. I mean, Dr. Wright would take us to dinner, you know, and our families, and we just, you know, it broke down the barrier. Like a lot of times as a head coach or as an AD, our student athletes see us kind of larger than life. So they're sometimes afraid to engage with us outside of our respective fields. So Dr. Wright, as a university president, I've been, you know, again, this is my second institution. I didn't feel comfortable texting Dr. Wright or even really speaking to Dr. Wright. This is a university president, but Dr. Hey, we're going to dinner, and unlike Cavil, he gonna buy the steak. You know what I'm saying? So, but also, all jokes aside, like we sat there and we broke bread, not as a university president, AD, and head coach, but as men and families. And I mean, the lessons that we would sit there and ask. He and his wife have been together for 30 plus years. So you got two basically almost newlyweds with me and my wife Shaya and Ashley and Danielle. We're asking questions. Hey, how did y'all do it?
Right.
You know, so we ain't talking about PV right now. This is how we go. You know, how do we save our house? Right. Because we're gone all the time. Again, we got young kids. So just to be able to soak up knowledge from a Dr. Wright, from a Dr. Felicia Nave, you know, just from all the people who again were a part of that process, because when you're at a university, it's a university. It's everyone having to work together for one common goal.
Yeah.
And so oftentimes I think we find ourselves in issues where we kind of operate in silos.
Yeah.
You know, where we don't really communicate and we're not open to communicating with other aspects of the university. But it taught me to be all inclusive. So that's what, like Esther said, when I get up to talk, I don't just talk about football. We got, 14, 15 other sports who coaches aren't on the Cavil show every other week, or aren't getting, it put on the spotlight because of football and how big it is in the conference. The volleyball team needs some love. The soccer team needs some love.
That's right.
And so just learning how to deal with people, learning how to humble yourself, right? The football coach and the AD are the two of the largest figures on campus. They're also two of the highest paid people on campus. That brings some kind of feelings at times, right? And so you got to be able to humble yourself. And when you're dealing with admissions, you're dealing with, academics, you're dealing with all these other areas. And that's what I learned from Ashley, just, a smile.
Yeah.
Hey, sometimes just a little T-shirt.
Yeah.
You'll be surprised, it goes a long way. And so that's what I think I've grown the most, of just learning how to deal with people on a daily basis. And Ashley spoiled me. I tell you what, he spoiled me because I didn't have to raise a lot of money at PV. I just didn't, right? I got the family. They was like, okay, we're going to this place, this place. I'm like, hold on, time out. So we're going to do a nationwide tour? Right. But I had to learn how to engage alumni. I had to learn how to deal with people and share my vision. And, so we talk about that.
Yeah.
Big time fundraiser. Like, Ashley knows how to go out and get money. We had to learn it kind of at the second place.
That's right.
Because at PV, we were kind of like,
you do that.
What you need? You want some white helmets this year? Okay, got you. You need 4 uniforms? Oh, man. Throw the check. I'm like, well, we got an endless checkbook over here at PV, but what? Right. I don't know what they are now, but I know back then, never told me no. Like, never said no. And that was such a great feeling to just know you had the support of not only your immediate boss, the AD, but the president, the entire administration, and all that. So again, huge shout out to PV. Love you guys always. And again, but I've grown tremendously, especially from my time there on the Hill for those 3 years.
Sure.
Yeah.
You wanted to ask me.
And the biggest piece about what you learn moving forward. I when I took the job at Jackson, and I called Coach Simmons. I said, man, I got to be AD now. I said, man, I'm looking at these numbers. I got to go out here. So I learned a lot because I had to build a staff to work that day to day. I talked to a lot of my mentors, and if an AD is in the office every day, that's a problem. So you have to get out in the community. I learned how to build those relationships, learn how to communicate with alumni, and learn how to communicate with alumni. We have a very passionate fan base. So you're gonna get some texts, some notes, and you got to know how to deal with that. And and I learned that in this process. I learned that raising money is about relationships. You never know, how those relationships form, and you meet somebody or you see somebody out. And everywhere I go now, if I don't want to be bothered, I stay at home. Because at one time you can meet somebody that really want to help the program. You just on one of them days like, look, man, I'm trying to go in the stove. I'm trying to, and I had to learn that, and I tell my staff all the time, you having a bad day, take that day off. Because that one bad day can really mess up your whole program that you work to build.
Right.
So I've learned about relationships. I learned about how you deal with people. I learned on how, that building a program and trying to bring everybody together. It's one thing that I wish that all HBCUs, I ask this question all the time. What would happen if we all come together as one? And Charles, you hear me talk about this at times. You look at your FAMU, you look at your Jackson States, you look at your Southerns, you look at your Howards, and no disrespect to anybody else, but the fan base and the way we travel and the way we do things. What happens if all 50,000 alums and all alumni of those institutions come together? It's no bigger universities, but we got to figure out a way to bridge that gap. And that's something that I'm really working. That's my next task, to bring everybody together. What happens is if 50,000 people say, I'm going to make $100 commitment 12 months out the year. Every month, I'm going to give $100 to FAMU. What's 50,000 times $100?
Yeah.
A lot of money.
So it's not about what you give, it's the volume of people that give.
Sure.
We got to get everybody to come together, just like we get everybody to come together for that championship game, everybody to come together for that celebration bowl game, not just when we're needed, or everybody want coaches to win. Everybody want athletic directors to hire the right coaches, but all that takes revenue.
Yes, it does.
It takes inventory, it takes revenue, so we have to invest, and that's for a university. You tell me one university that has a great athletic program where enrollment is not growing.
Good thing.
Yeah.
I have two final questions.
Yeah, and just real quick, Doug, I want to follow up on that. And we talked about the humility, and I give a huge shout out to Phyllis Caldwell because
absolutely
we played Prairie View for homecoming this year, and Phyllis called and said, "Hey, I want to connect with your university relations person." Just to talk about how y'all fundraise and how you guys do things, because they saw a model at FAM that they kind of liked, that maybe not say steal it, but take ideas from it. I think that's a part of it. Like, we got to be, like Ashley said, be willing to come together. As coaches, we don't get together and talk about X's and O's. Like, that's not what we do. So when we, as a coaching body at the convention, you go do some coaching development as far as learning a few things, but you really talk more about, hey, what do you look for in hiring a staff? Like, how are you dealing with the emotional issues that the kids are dealing with these days? Like, we're talking about how to build our programs from within, not the football. Like, I got my own football philosophy. Bubba McDowell has his football philosophy. So as far as the plays we run, that's always going to be ours, and I'm not going to share that with anybody. But I will share how I look at the transfer portal and how it affects my ability to recruit high school kids. And those are the type of things that we talk about. So if our alumni bases, if our if our administrations, like you said, it doesn't have to be often. Maybe once a year, twice a year, just get together and just have a brainstorming session. Okay, Jackson, you guys look at the numbers. Y'all raised the most money last year. What were y'all doing?
Well, yeah.
Right.
Hey, fam, you had the most this. What are y'all doing to, Texas Southern? Your enrollment grew more than anybody else's. Like, what do you guys do as far as enrollment? Like, all the things that allow our institutions to grow. Like, we should come together on those type of things. So I'm on A-Rod's bandwagon with that one. Like, if we can just do that, not just come together for FAMU to win the Celebration Bowl, and I appreciate the support, but it can't stop Saturday. After Saturday's over, then we go back to being bitter rivals, and now way back on roughing the SWAC again, talking trash. Have a good love-hate relationship. I talk trash to my friends as much as anybody, but I also support my friends. I also understand that we got to do something big together, and there's definitely strength in numbers. That is always that quote is always wrong true. HBCUs are no different.
And great salient points. Glad we decided to extend this a little bit because the viewers are eating it up. But I have two final questions, and I'll let you know go because I know there's a lot going on. First, I'm coming to you, Ashley, and then I'm coming to you, Coach Simmons, to close us out. We had a chance to talk to your colleague, Dr. Kevin Granger, about the SWAC meetings. You're the chair of the committee of the ADs. And I don't ask this to necessarily get information. Obviously, anytime you want to drop something, we love that. But in seriousness, what I want to ask you is for our fans. I'm from the belief, educated fans are the best fans. So as you talk about working together, one of the things is make sure we educate our fans about the process. There's some things that are internal that have to stay private. Not so much that we can't tell our fans, but we don't want our competitors, other conference to know about it. So that's where that comes from. But take us inside from your perspective, and I'm going to ask you from this component. What are some of the most important things that you all as ADs and VPs have to talk about in that room to continue to push the Southwestern Athletic forward as well as each other forward?
The first thing, when we talk about the conference, I want to commend, Commissioner McClelland. I've not only worked in the conference, not only been in the conference my whole life, I played in the conference. So I've saw all the changes and some of the things that he's done. And the biggest piece for us, when you talk about ADs and coaches and presidents, the number one thing now is revenue. We need revenue to support our coaches and our student athletes. And we're talking about the well-being of our students and the support of our coaches. And that's the biggest piece in there. And we talked about the stance of the conference. From a revenue standpoint, we wasn't so good at one time. and we're in a really, really good place. Commissioner McClelland has done a really, really good job. But for us, we talk about how do we stay here and how do we continue to grow as a conference. The ADs, coaches groups meet. I form our meeting, and they bring recommendations to us that they want to grow their sport. And it's our job to, vote on that and talk about that, and also enlighten the presidents on, what needs to be done at the institutions and some of the things that our coaches want to see happen to benefit our coaches and our student athletes, and also to put the Southwestern Athletic Conference on the national stage. That's one of the biggest things that we talk about on a day-to-day basis. And then with this new transformational that the NCAA is bringing in, the well-being. Commissioners put some things in place that you can submit a grant to the conference office if you need to do some things to support your coaches. And the biggest thing for a coach, and I look at this, that support area, all those areas from sports medicine. So we talked about your women athletes in sports, those managers and trainers, strength and conditioning, that nutrition piece, all those day-to-day equipment, all those day-to-day areas. Coaches don't need to be worried about how this gonna happen.
Very much.
And that's where we come in as athletic directors. Is, of course, we know we have some challenges, but our job is to make sure our coaches coach. When now you find yourself evaluating the coach on, as an athletic director, when people come to you, the first thing say, hey, man, we need to make a change. Well, man, coach do this, coach do that, coach do that. We still gonna have the same problem. We still gonna have the same problem if we make that change. So what are we doing as administrators, alumni, supporters, to say, if I make a change, what are we gonna do different? But how about let's make a change with this coach and give him another year and see what's gonna happen. And I go back to my experience with that. That's one of my biggest experience. And I'm not afraid to say this. I come to Jackson State, and everybody's talking about Wayne Brent. I go meet with Wayne Brent, and I look at what Wayne Brent got, and I'm like, it's no way.
Sure.
No way we can let Wayne Brent go. But it was my job to communicate with the alumni, with our foundation, to say, hey, this is why we're where we are. Let's try this. Coach Brent won a championship next 2 years. So sometimes we got to look within. We got to look in the mirror. It's not all about, coaches have a lot to deal with when it comes to the student athletes and things of that nature, and what they got to deal with on a day-to-day basis. And if they got to worry about how they gonna eat, what hotel they gonna stay in, is the food coming today, is this trainer gonna show up today, do I got a strength and condition coach, do one of my coaches got to do it? I mean, those are the things that I think is very, very important that we have to talk about as athletic directors and being administrators for our coaches and our student athletes. And that's the biggest piece, to make sure we're putting things in place. I never want to be in a situation, it hurts me where I can't sleep at night if I got to tell coach no.
Sure.
I mean, and most of the time, our coach is not asking for the world. They're asking for some help to support their program. So I try to work hard as I can to say, hey, when they come ask for something or something that they need, let's try to make it. Let's try to make it happen, for our coaches. And we got to change that whole mindset. And it starts not just in athletics. It starts as a campus. It starts as a university. And that's the whole thing that, as administrators, that we have to do as athletic directors is every day that I'm fighting for my coaches and my student athletes. This ain't about Ashley Robinson. And that's the mindset that we got to have. But the thing about it, on December the 2nd, everybody want to be there. But everybody don't want to do what it takes to get there. But everybody want to be there on December the 2nd, So that's the biggest piece, Dr. Cavil, is being that support staff. Everybody that I talk to when it comes to athletic directors that know me, I'm in the room, I'm a coach's advocate. I'm gonna always fight for my coaches, because if they lose, I lose at the end of the day. So I don't know, even though the ones that the ADs that have that type of attitude and mindset, like, you do know football don't win, you're gonna be looking for a job, right? We all gonna be looking for a job. I came to Jackson State and I put it out there. Jackson State hired me to put football back on the map. Now I went in and say, no, we're gonna win in every sport. We got to talk about this. We need to talk about that. Let's have some things together, because the thing about winning and putting something in place for every sport, you're not going to win every game.
Right.
it's just not gonna happen. I like to have situations where you win. You might lose on Saturday, you come win a championship on Sunday, then win a Power 5 game on Sunday. I think I just did that, but that's the type of stuff that I like to put in place because you got a well-rounded program.
Sure.
I'm not depending on one program to win, but we got to change the mindsets. I mean, we can. I'm telling you, we can do something really, really special, man. I ask people this question all the time: What if all your black athletes went to HBCUs? A lot of people scared to say that, but it's the truth. What if your 4 and 5 stars all went to HBCUs, black athletes? What you think will happen?
It changed a lot. I know that.
So
game changer.
And we had a chance to talk about that, as you said. The SWAC announced a student athlete enhancement initiative. So
right.
We got a chance to talk.
Yeah.
Charles. And as we close this, the thing that's fascinating to me, we went from potentially having interviews that we just had a session.
Right.
We had a session today, and we had folks to get some jewels out of here. Final question for you, Coach Simmons. And I asked this also of Howard, Coach, in terms of this perspective. What do you believe your feelings will be when all the work culminates and you walk down the aisle, walk on the field? The field will take care of itself. All that preparation. You do that in your sleep. You've trained for this moment for a lot of years. But if you would, take us a little bit in terms of your eternal feelings of what at least you think they're going to be as you walk, run, and you see your players with this culmination of the Cricket Celebration Bowl to kick things off on national TV, ABC. You're here now. What do you believe your feelings will be?
Before the game? Like when we run out? Like, man, you know me. You've been around me long enough. I'm going to be locked into the game. like, I'm not thinking about anything except preparing this team to go out and play 60 minutes of Rattler football, and so I think it's a gift and a curse that I'm able to just kind of lock in and keep the main thing. My tunnel vision is there. It never wavers. Like my coaches every Sunday, not to go off topic, but every Sunday we have our staff meeting, kind of our post-game recap, and all the coaches kind of start talking about some of the things they see. My new AD, Tiffany Dawn Sykes, one of the things she wants to clean up is the sideline management of the game. Like it gets crazy at FAMU. Like, it gets wild at FAMU. And they're like, Coach, these people were right here, and I kept bumping. I'm like, dude, I don't see any of that stuff. Like, I don't know anything that goes on. Somebody could streak behind on the fence, and I wouldn't see it because I'm like, my eyes stay on the game, and if I'm not in the game, I'm on the refs. And so, like, now after the game, that's a different conversation, So my thought is always, how do I, given the time I have, put these young men in the best possible position to be successful on this field when they leave here, in life. And that's why I'm glad that we're doing these symposiums and these financial literacy programs and all these things, because it's so much bigger than just the game.
Yep.
And yes, we want to win. Rattler Nation expects us to win. We're going to be excited to take the field and represent the SWAC in the Cricket Celebration Bowl. But my thoughts are always, just like Ashton, and again, we talk about it, and that's why we connect, because it's never about us. And I think that's why when you look up and you rarely see them, kind of around. When I'm so quick to get a trophy to one of the players, after I don't care about being in the spotlight. This isn't my moment. This is, because I ain't throwing one pass on Saturday. I ain't making one tackle on Saturday. Jeremy Moose's got to go out there and play well. Isaiah Major, General Hunt, Kendall Bowler, like those guys need to go play well. And that's what my focus is, and making sure, like Ashley said, that we've done everything in our power to support them, not just the players, the training staff. Troy and I, one of our biggest conversations before we got here was, how do we make sure that the support staff is taken care of? Because in a bowl setting, you don't get endless gifts. Like, they give you an allotment, and you got to decide how you're going to disperse those. So, and I know sometimes it rubs people the wrong way, but it's like, the administrators, we appreciate y'all. We really want to make sure that we take care of you, but these student workers are volunteering. Like they're making all these trips. They're not getting paid. They're on scholarship. And so we got to show them we appreciate them. So if they look up and they see all the players grabbing bags and bowl gifts and all this stuff, and they come away from Atlanta with nothing, well, what's the incentive? Why do I come out there and help him and sacrifice his every 6:30 practice? They're there. I mean, if we practice, we meet at 6. We start practice at Flex at 6:15. That means they start taping at 5. So those student trainers are in the field house at 5 a.m. twice a week taping ankles, right? We got to show them that we support them. So that's my thought would be them. My thought would be the players. My thought would be the cheerleaders. Everybody who the student section, because again, we're here to serve young people.
True. That's
our job, and our ability to put them in a position to be successful is what we'll ultimately be judged on. People will talk about the wins, they'll talk about the championships, but that red jacket that they talk about the head coaches getting for winning the game, I'm not thinking about that. The players are. They've told me multiple times, Coach, we can get you that red jacket. It's not about me. Get the players what they need, support them in everything they do. Let's keep, because those are future leaders. Those student athletes, these students at these great institutions are our future leaders, and that's why I think it's incumbent upon us this weekend to really, really showcase what we're made of across the HBCU spectrum. Because, like Ashley said, if our best and brightest, not just in football, in basketball, in track and field, but academically, because that's where it's more important. If all of our best and brightest, because the reality of it is, we can't. All the top black athletes can't come to HBCUs because there's not enough of us out there to do that. But we can bring all the blacks to school. They go to school, right? And so, how many more can we attract to our universities? Can we challenge our university to build more residence halls? Because the enrollment is skyrocketing so high that we ain't got no places to put them. Can we hire more qualified professors? Because this, again, the demand to come to these places is too high. That's what I do it for. And I think that's what the university administrations are starting to see now, because like Ashley said, FAMU, A&T, Jackson State, Howard, Prairie View even, applications went up. The more these programs started to win. And not saying we're doing it, but we are the front porch to that big house that's inside. And so there are going to be students in Washington, the state of Washington, in California, in New York, who maybe never heard of an HBCU, who are going to turn their TV on at 12 o'clock Eastern time on ABC, and they're going to see a commercial about FAMU School of Business and Industry. And they're going to say, oh, wow, I didn't know that they were nationally ranked like that. And they're going to get on their computer, they're going to Google, and they're going to find something out about FAMU. And they always want to be a business major, and they kind of always found themselves out of place because they're a black student in this country. They're trying to find a group that they can fit in with, but they don't know about HBCUs because they grew up in areas where there are none. Well, they're going to find out about these HBCUs this weekend, and it's going to make them take a second look. And that's our job, to put our best on display. And when we do that, we all win.
And let me say this before we sign out, and I want to thank both of you all because both of you do such a tremendous job of articulating the entirety of the HBCU athletic diaspora. And it's really appreciated from a fan perspective, just to sit back and listen to the way you look at it and the way you articulate it. I can't say thank you enough to both of you.
Well, appreciate it. Now, let's go get some food.
I know, right?
Perfect way to put it. And we'll close on that note.
Dr. Bill, just to answer A.D. Robinson's question, that is $5 million a month.
There you go.
$60 million a year.
There you go.
$5 million a month.
Man, what could we do with that, Coach Simmons?
Yeah, we can stop a lot of their comments out.
We just talking about $100 a month.
Oh, yeah, we can
That's
get
it.
Done.
Yeah.
We can get in there. I want to say thank you for you all being here, being friends, colleagues, getting it done and changing lives. I want to thank Dr. Charles McClelland that came in, Southwestern Athletic Commission, speaking with us. Obviously, Executive Director John Grant took some time out to speak with us. Dr. Kevin Granger, Texas Southern University, took valuable time.
Granger got an announcement.
I was about to say, what? We need to stick around. Because I'm kicking ass. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to get rid of
Ain't Granger about to make an announcement today?
That's what it is. Exclusive. Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, inside HBCU Sports Lab. Shake up the conference.
Let me see can I go tap him on the leg or something.
Transfer portal ain't just for the players, huh?
Head football coach at Florida A&M University. We also had Coach Larry Scott, Howard University. Our producer, Roy Evans, getting it done, making this happen because we were looking for a different way to make it happen, but he found a way to be at the right place, right time, making sure we get it done. My colleague, good friend, best friend, frat brother, as we like to tease each other, right here, Brother Charles Bishop. We will get you something to eat, Charles. Brother Mike Washington, I know he couldn't be here. getting it done on assignment, but he's always working behind the scenes. We tease him because of that, because he's always here when we need him. Again, just for myself, I want to say thanks to all of y'all. This was just a dream and an idea, but with all y'all key players that invest in time with me and make me believe that the time is valuable, that you will cut out different things to make sure that I can get the word out there. I appreciate that. Thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Watch and Charles Bishop. Hope you enjoy what we are able to bring to you, this live edition of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday, 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. We will bring you a live show in here today for our regular show time at 6 o'clock Central Time, 7 o'clock Eastern. I'm in those.
Make sure Charles' leg ain't shaking that time. He'll be fed.
I'm going to lose a lot of money. You talking about steaks. Oh, man, I can't afford all of it.
Well, you don't got to worry about it. Coach Simmons like his steak well done.
No. That's wrong. That's come a long way. I'm leaving around now.
He made the money now.
That's how young I was. Well done steaks in Houston. People looked at me crazy.
No, I said medium well. They be like, you doing what? So now I do medium. So
we'll get your medium rare.
When you go to the wrong, start going to the nice steakhouse.
Yeah. Go up to Quincy. You better get it well done. Get Quincy.
No doubt. Which means that's more out of my pocket. I can't just take it anyway. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TRKENYATTACAVIL. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Twitter. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube, Facebook. Dream big. Continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles.
Of course.
Roy.
Lecture.
Dismiss.